Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can see in the picture today, let's start the story of what if Naruto was sent to DxD with Konan and Mikoto. Naruto in a world of the living dead. Be careful with that character speaking. What will be for breakfast character thinking? Hey, are you hearing me? Character speaking mentally. That must have hurt my note or opinion. Rasengan Jutsu o Technica. Before starting, I want to clarify that here Mikoto is alive, but Sasuke did abandon the village. In addition to Sasuke killing Itachi, Konan also stayed alive and joined the alliance without being tried thanks to Naruto. Sasuke turned good after Itachi told him the truth behind the Uchiha massacre. Also here Mikoto will have the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Another thing is that I will combine zombie movies, games and series since High School of the Dead was never finished as such. That was all, now enjoy the new story. Chapter 1 Living Dead. The battle of the Fourth Ninja War had almost come to an end since after Madara managed to fulfill his plan to sink the world in an eternal genjutsu, being Naruto, Sasuke, Mikoto, Konan, Kakashi and Sakura the only ones left out of the genjutsu thanks to Mikoto and Sasuke covered the others with their perfect susanus, but after that Zetsu betrayed Madara by piercing his chest with his arm. This caused Madara to begin to deform until he became a large white mass which took shape after a few seconds. From that mass came the woman named Kagaya Otsutsuki, the first woman to use chakra and also known as the Rabbit Goddess. Again those who were out of the genjutsu had to fight. Even with their reserves almost at zero, they managed to defeat the goddess. But just as Kagaya was being sealed, she saw her opportunity. I will not leave alone. If I fall, at least I will take one of you with me, said Kagaya, then opened a portal behind Naruto. Mikoto and Konan realized this and tried to save Naruto, but it was useless since the portal dragged them inside with great force. Neither of the two women could do anything to get away or save Naruto since they had no more chakra to use. Sasuke, Sakura and Kakashi tried to help them, but they were too far away to get there in time. When the portal absorbed Naruto and the two women, it closed, and at that precise moment Kagaya was completely sealed again. Now you can never return to this world again, said Kagaya before the sphere where she was sealed began to rise in the sky. The 9 bijus had already been freed from Kagaya's control and they were approaching the ninjas just when the portal happened. Damn it, Akinizan, I failed you. I couldn't protect our mother, said Sasuke with tears for losing his only family. The bijus that were around the 3 remaining members of Team 7 just looked with pity and some sadness. Then they saw how Hagoromo appeared in front of them. I congratulate you for having sealed my mother again and prevented her from killing all the humans, said Hagoromo. But in that instant he saw that 3 people were missing. Whereas Naruto and the other 2 women? Asked Hagoromo. Hagoromo-sama, Naruto, Mikoto-san and Konan-san were absorbed by a portal that Kagaya created before being sealed, answered Kakashi with helplessness in his words. I see, so she managed to take 3 with her, said Hagoromo, and then closed his eyes. Unfortunately I can't bring them back since they are inside an incomplete dimension of my mother. Also I can't communicate with them, said Hagoromo, making it clear to the ninjas that Naruto and the 2 women were still alive. But in that instant Kurama remembered that his other half was still inside Naruto, so he tried to connect telepathically since they were in one of Kagaya's dimensions, so there was still a chance that he could contact him since the dimensions were united by Kagaya's remaining chakra. Luckily he managed to contact them, but before asking or saying anything his other half spoke first. Hey, my other half, I know this is something unexpected, but I need you and the others to send us chakra or the boy and the 2 humans who were absorbed by the portal will die, said Kurama inside Naruto. What do you mean, what happened? Asked the free Kurama. It seems that the dimension where they are wandering is slowly killing them by damaging their bodies. I am trying to prevent them from dying by healing them with my chakra, but I do not have enough. Quickly, tell the others to send me chakra through you. Since we are the same, we can send chakra to each other without the need to make physical contact, said the sealed Kurama. I understand, leave everything in my hands, said the free Kurama. Father, brothers, I managed to contact my half-sealed inside Naruto, said Kurama, surprising the shinobis. But they saw Kurama's serious face. How are you? Hagoromo asked seriously. My other half says that they are wrong since they are wandering between this dimension and another, and that is causing serious damage to the bodies of Naruto and the two women. But he is trying to heal them with his chakra. But he does not have enough, so he asked me to tell you to send him chakra to prevent the two women and Naruto from dying, said Kurama, making an impression on everyone. Then I will send part of my chakra too. If with that I can help Naruto and my mother to be saved, I will not hesitate to give all my remaining chakra, said Sasuke, being the first to react. We will also give the rest of our chakra to help, said Kakashi and Sakura. The boy saved us all, so it's time to return the favor, said Sun, to which the other Bijus nodded. Besides, we already decided it when we were inside the Geto Masu statue, said Gyuki. Father, send us with Naruto. We, being masses of chakra with physical form, can travel through the chakra link between Kurama and his other half, so we can help Naruto and the other two women heal, said Saiken. They are safe. Once I do it, I won't be able to bring them back. And we don't know if there will be a way for them to return, said Hagoromo, coming to his children. We are safe. We had already decided to stay inside the boy if he managed to win the war and free us, said Matatabi this time. Well, if that's your decision, then I will do it. I will also send some of my chakra so that you can give him some gifts in gratitude for everything he did, and one of these gifts might help you come back someday, said Hagoromo, to which Sasuke, Kakashi and Sakura smiled, seeing that Naruto always surprised them and was unpredictable even when he wasn't there. Very well, what do we have to do? Kakashi asked seriously. Just put your hands on some part of me and give me your chakra. When you finish, I will send the chakra to my other half, said Kurama, to which the three of Team 7 nodded and proceeded to do what was said. Once they finished, they felt very tired. They barely had the chakra to be conscious. Good, now I'll send you, said Hagoromo to his children, and then created a clone apparently of pure chakra, and you already know what to give him, said Hagoromo to his clone, who went to sight. Well, it's time for you to go, said Hagoromo as the Bijus touched Kurama with their tails along with the Hagoromo clone, who positioned himself on Kurama's head, and then they disappeared. Good. Now I'll get you out of here, said Hagoromo, hitting the ground with his staff, in which a black spider web appeared, which shone a little before the four disappeared and appeared in their home dimension. Hagoromo-sama, what will happen to the people inside the illusion? Sakura asked tiredly. Don't worry about that. I reserved enough chakra to free them, but once I do I will disappear, so I'll leave the rest to you. Make peace prevail and tell everyone what happened. Also, don't lose hope that one day those three will return, said Hagoromo, to which Team 7 nodded. Don't worry, Hagoromo-sama, those three will be remembered as heroes. Although Naruto was the one who earned that title before the eyes of the entire alliance, and those three will be recognized as the heroes of the alliance, with Naruto being the greatest hero, said Kakashi, to which Hagoromo only nodded. Very well, I say goodbye. Live your lives happily, and I hope you make this peace last, said Hagoromo before undoing the infinite Tsukuyumi. That's what we will do. We will not allow this peace that the Dobe, my mother and Konan gave us to be destroyed by anyone, said Sasuke with conviction, and I will fulfill Naruto's dream. I swear that one day I will be Hokage in memory of my best friend, said Sasuke, which made the three present smile. I hope so. Well, it's time for me to go. My time has come, said Hagoromo under a cherry tree and looking at the horizon. I hope this peace lasts, and we don't see each other for a long time, said Hagoromo, and then disappeared, vanishing into the air. Okay guys, let's go to the people of the Alliance and report what happened, said Kakashi, which everyone nodded, and they slowly left towards where all the ninjas released from the Tsukuyumi were. Kan, Naruto, Mikoto, and Konan. The two kunoichis and Naruto were floating in a dark space while a red chakra blanket covered the three. Mikoto and Konan were unconscious like Naruto, but unlike the two women, Naruto was inside his mental landscape talking to the newcomers. After they explained to Naruto about their decision to stay with him, and what was happening to their bodies because of the place they were in. Let's see. Are you telling me that because of the portal that Kaguya opened and absorbed us, now we won't be able to return to our dimension, and that our bodies are suffering damage because of this place? Naruto asked in an alarmed manner. Calm down, boy. I know it's hard to understand, but that's how things are said. The good part of Kurama, the good part is the one that was sealed, and the bad part is the one that was free, although at this point both parts are good. How do you expect me to feel if now I find out that I won't be able to return home or see my friends again, and that probably neither I nor the other two girls will survive? Asked Naruto. Naruto, calm down. My children are here to prevent them from dying, healing them with their chakras, and maybe there is a way to return. That's why I'm here, said Hagoromo calmly, managing to calm Naruto down a little. Okay, but what is that way? Naruto asked. First, what you have to know is that by having my children inside you, you will have the 5 chakra natures. In addition, I will give a couple of elements to the other 2 women through Kurama's talk. I will also give you the Rinnegan. With it, maybe you can return to your dimension, said Hagoromo, although Naruto only cared about maybe being able to return to his resignation with the help of the Rinnegan. Why do you say maybe? Naruto asked, letting go of all the power they gave him since it seemed he only cared about returning to his home. Because you will have to try to evolve it into the Rinne Sharingan, and if you succeed you will have to find your dimension and create a portal to it, said Hagoromo, which gave hope to Naruto. I see, then I'll have to train to see if I can evolve the Rinnegan and thus be able to return to my dimension, said Naruto, to which Hagoromo nodded. That's right. Well, now I will give you those powers and I will give you the ability to perfectly control the Rinnegan. That does not mean that it will be easier for you to evolve it, since you will have to find a way to do it, since apparently it is somewhat complicated to do so, said Hagoromo, and then put his hand on Naruto's head and transmit all his powers to him as well as some of his chakra. This at the same time that he gave the other 2 elements to the women through Kurama's chakra. Okay. That's it. In addition to the powers I mentioned, I gave you the Onmyoton element with which you can create almost anything out of nothing, said Hagoromo. Thanks, old man. I swear I'll find a way to get back home, said Naruto, which got a half smile from everyone because of the determination with which he said it. Well, I hope so. I have to go now. The chakra I had is running out and I will soon disappear, said Hagoromo, becoming transparent. We'll see each other someday, old man, said Naruto. See you later, father, said the Bijus. Naruto, please take care of them, said Hagoromo, looking at the Bijus, to which Naruto nodded. I will. You know that I protect my friends, said Naruto, and then saw Hagoromo disappear completely. Well, it would be better if I joined my other half so that the healing would be faster, said the bad Kurama, and then touched him. Good Kurama, so that both of them would join again. Boy, I can feel something pulling you and the women. Maybe it's the exit of the portal. Be prepared for the dimension you'll fall into, said Sun seriously after Kurama was one again. Boy, in case you appear in the sky and you are falling, you will be able to enter Ashura mode for 30 seconds, so take advantage of the time to slow your fall as much as possible. In addition to that, you will have chakra to create some techniques, said Isabu. Thanks guys, see you later. I'll take the girls so if we fall from a high place I can save them and avoid having to reach them or grab them in the middle of the fall, said Naruto, to which everyone nodded. After that, Naruto left his mindscape and opened his eyes, seeing how his body was surrounded by the red chakra cloak. Then he looked to his right and saw Konan apparently unconscious but with the chakra cloak surrounding her as well. Then he looked to the left and saw Makoto in the same state as Konan. But something that Naruto noticed was that both women looked younger. He left that for later, and with the help of the red cloak he brought them closer to him and took them by the waist just in time, since at that precise moment they were thrown out of the portal, and as if Isabu had predicted it, they were falling from a great height. Naruto was about 40 meters in the air and activated his Ashura mode and landed on the roof of a 5-story building. After landing he left both women lying on the ground, then approached the edge of the roof of the building, Upon reaching the shore, he saw a large city with enormous buildings and several houses. But what place is this? Naruto wondered, seeing the place where he fell. Also, something strange was that black smoke was coming out of several buildings and houses. Naruto then looked down and saw how a person was being bitten by another to the point that a piece of flesh had been torn off. Naruto saw that where the piece was torn off was the jugular, so he didn't bother to save him since it was certain death. He stared at the bleeding body of the man. After a few minutes, Naruto noticed how the man's body began to move. This surprised him, since according to what he knew, if your jugular was cut you would bleed to death, and that guy had been bleeding to death for several minutes, making it impossible for him to move or even stand up and walk. Upon analyzing the man better, he saw that he was moving slowly and in only one direction. Then he saw how another guy ran from a woman who seemed to be pale and with several blood stains all over her body. The man who was running tripped over the man who had stood up after bleeding to death a few moments ago. Naruto only saw how the dead man bit the man who fell. Only the man's agonizing screams were heard, and after a few minutes the same thing happened again. The man who was bitten got up, but this time pale and without apparent reasoning. Okay, it would be better to avoid being bitten by those things, Naruto said to himself. At that same moment Naruto heard some moans of annoyance. When he turned around he saw how Mikoto and Konan were deporting themselves. What happened? They both asked, holding their heads. I'm glad you woke up, said Naruto, approaching the girls. What happened to us, Naruto-kun? Mikoto asked. Apparently the portal that Kagaya created sent us to another dimension, said Naruto, to which the girls remembered what happened. I see, so you managed to catch us, but now how will we get back? Konan asked. A clone of the Rakuta Sennin came to visit me in my mindscape and explained that since Kagaya is now locked up and since we were wandering between our dimension and this one, it was impossible for him to bring us back. So he gave us some abilities. He gave you 2 more chakra elements to defend yourselves in the dimension we fell into, and he gave me the Rinnegan. He told me that possibly with it we could return to our dimension, but only if I managed to awaken the Rinne Sharingan. Naruto explained, which surprised the 2 women. So if you don't get the Rinne Sharingan we won't be able to go to our dimension? Konan asked in a somewhat calm manner. That's right. But he also told me that even if I get it I have to find the dimension where we come from, which is apparently something difficult to do. But he also told me that there is a possibility that I won't be able to get the Rinne Sharingan, and we will stay here forever, said Naruto, causing some sadness in both women. I see, so in the end we'll just have to get used to this new world, said Mikoto, a little dejected at not being able to see her son again. Yes, but it seems there is something wrong in this world, said Naruto seriously. Something wrong? Konan asked. Yes, look, said Naruto, walking towards the edge of the roof, being followed by the women who were impressed to see the city. It seemed they had fallen into a more advanced world than theirs. Look at that, said Naruto, drawing the attention of the 2 women, who noticed that Naruto was pointing them to the street. When they turned to look they saw how a completely pale man with blood stains was walking limping, but when they looked closer both girls could see that the man had a large piece cut from where his jugular should be. How is it possible that he's still alive if his main artery was cut? Konan asked in surprise. Apparently if one of those things bites you, you die and then you become one of them. But apparently they lose all reason and only look for food, that is, another person to bite or devour, said Naruto seriously. In that case it would be better to be careful that they don't bite us. If possible let's avoid fighting against them, said Mikoto. But something that intrigues me is if they are already dead and came back to life, how do you kill them again? Naruto asked, causing the girls to look at him strangely. What do you mean? You just hit him in some vital part of the body and that's it, said Konan, to which Naruto denied and pointed to the same man who was walking. Both women saw that the man had a pair of kunais stuck in vital areas on his torso. Apparently it's not enough to hit them in some vital area, and they don't even feel pain. They feel the impact and are guided by where they felt it, but they don't feel pain, said Naruto seriously. Let me try a couple of things, said Mikoto, then took out 2 kunais. First she threw one and it hit the man's heart. But surprisingly nothing happened. The man just kept walking in her direction without stopping. Apparently it's true that they don't die when hit in vital areas of the torso. But what if? Said and asked Mikoto the last while aiming the second kunai and then throwing it with force. The kunai hit the man's skull, which caused the man to fall to the ground this time and never get up again. They waited for a full minute, but the man didn't get up again. Well, apparently the only way to kill them is to hit them in the head. I guess that's obvious. If you hit the most important vital point, they die. So what we have to do is go through them or tear their heads off, said Mikoto, which the other 2 nodded. But I presume there will be more people? Conan asked, to which Naruto sat in a little lotus position. Give me a minute to see, said Naruto, but the moment he tried to gather natural energy he felt it very corrupted. Damn, in this place the natural chakra is very corrupted, and it is difficult for me to enter Sannin mode, said Naruto, trying hard to gather natural energy. After a couple of minutes Naruto managed to enter Sannin mode. Ready. I managed to enter Sage mode, said Naruto, now with an orange shadow on his eyelids and with his eyes in the form of toad eyes. Do you feel the presence of more people? Mikoto asked, watching Naruto with his eyes closed. There are a couple of groups of people not far from here. Follow me. Let's see if they are still alive or have already turned into one of those things, said Naruto, and then began to jump from rooftop to rooftop in the direction where he felt the presence of those people. In a few minutes they arrived at what seemed to be an academy. It's here. There are some groups of people here. Some are alone, said Naruto, still with his Sage mode activated. How will we help them without facing those things? Conan asked, since the 3 of them were still somewhat tired from the war. I will send shadow clones to help everyone and gather them in a large, open area. That way we can get them out of here, said Naruto, and then created 40 shadow clones. Boy, we will give you the rest of our chakra so you can help and get the living people out of here. But we will fall asleep for at least a week, so, until you take care of everyone. Also, if you manage your chakra you will be able to enter Bijou form or the form of the paths, said Kurama. Thanks guys, and don't worry, I'll protect everyone. Also, according to Rikudo, I can use the Rinnegan perfectly. I just have to find a way to use the skills, said Naruto, to which this time Koko spoke. You know that to activate your Rinnegan you need to send chakra to your eyes, and after that you will naturally find the sensation to use each of the Rinnegan's abilities, said Koko. If I remember correctly, when we were all inside the old man, the sensation for Shinra Tensei is to imagine or feel how a great wave of power comes out of your body. But you can decide in which direction you send it or in what range, said Sun, to which Naruto's thanked. Thanks guys, that will do for now, said Naruto. Okay, now we will give you our remaining chakra. Once we do it we will fall asleep, so take care and see you soon, said Matatabi as all the Bijus placed their hands posklostale one on top of the other. Naruto understood this and placed his fist under the Bijus'. See you later guys, said Naruto, and then the Bijus passed their remaining chakra to Naruto. Once this happened the Bijus withdrew their legs and fell lying on the ground of Naruto's mental landscape. Naruto, seeing this, changed the sewer for a greenish meadow with a lake and a forest nearby. At least they'll rest in a nicer place than that sewer, said Naruto before disappearing from his mindscape. In another part of the academy, Naruto's clones had already managed to save several kids, mostly women, as the boys protected them. A clone was looking for survivors when suddenly he heard the scream of a girl dying near his location. He quickly ran to that place. Upon arrival he saw how one of those dead people attacked a girl with pink hair tied in 2 pigtails. This girl had D-Cup Boba S and was wearing the regulation uniform of her school for women, which consisted of a white shirt, a small bow cape and green skirt, along with white socks that reached below her knees. Inside the place, a boy and the pink-haired girl were resting after having fled from several zombies. But they couldn't rest much since more of those things began to approach them from the front. The boy was using a nail gun as a weapon to finish off those who approached them. Takaji's and you have to fight them too, said the boy, who was a little fat. He wore glasses, had black hair like his eyes, was wearing the school uniform for boys, which consisted of pants and a black jacket with a white shirt under the jacket. "And why do I have to do it?" asked the pink-haired girl that the boy called Takagi. "The load is almost empty," said the boy as he shot another zombie in the head. "Then why don't you just recharge it?" the girl asked, a little annoyed without noticing how a zombie was approaching her from behind. "Takagi's behind you," said the boy, and then tried to shoot the zombie with the gun. But it was already empty. "Damn," said the boy. The girl turned around and saw how that thing was looking at her and instantly screamed so loud that most of the survivors heard her. "Hi, Hirano," said the girl, taking a few steps back since the zombie was approaching her. "The magazine is empty. Hold on while I reload," said the boy known as Hirano, who began to reload the weapon as fast as he could. Takagi took a step back and slipped on a bag that was lying behind her. She fell on her back to the ground, but the zombie was slowly stalking towards her. Get away," said Takagi, crawling back on the floor. As she was still sitting on the floor, she backed up until she ran into a shelf. Looking up, she quickly saw several trophies. Without thinking, she began to take them and throw them at the zombie that was approaching her. She looked everywhere looking for something that would work better than the trophies. Turning to her right, she saw an electric drill. Seeing that, the zombie launched itself at her. Without thinking twice, she took the drill and put it in the trajectory of the zombie's head. Although if it weren't for the panic, she and the boy would have been able to hear how the window broke and a kunai was stuck in the zombie's head before he launched himself at the girl, since what they saw as the zombie lunged at Takagi, in reality it was that he fell dead from the kunai stuck in his skull. Even so, the girl with the drill pierced the zombie's head, causing a lot of blood to come out and cover the walls and even the girl a little. At that moment, some survivors arrived, 3 women and a man. The boy, seeing the girl with the zombie head cut, quickly ran and kicked him, managing to get him away from Takagi, who apparently had tears in her eyes. The others took a while to realize that the girl's rights had attracted more zombies and were now surrounded by 10 zombies. The boys looked at each other only to feel and throw themselves against the zombies. But before even getting a meter away from them, it was heard how a window was broken. The boys only saw how a kunai was stuck in the heads of each of the 10 zombies. The boys only turned to the window only to see a blonde-haired boy with blue eyes with 3 whisker marks on each cheek, in addition to being dressed in a black jacket on the top half and orange on the bottom half, along with orange pants. But the peculiar thing was that they were torn. It seemed as if he had been in a fight with weapons. The boy was standing right in front of the window, a few steps from the group of boys. "Are you okay?" the blonde boy asked the other boys, who just stared at him for a few moments. But Takagi's sobs made them react, and the girls went to see if he was okay. "Takagi-san, are you okay?" asked an orange-haired girl with orange eyes. She was wearing the same school uniform. Her hair was loose except for 2 strands that joined in a ponytail at the back of her head. She also had 2 strands in the shape of antennas on top of her bangs. She had a cup boba s. She and another woman, apparently a teacher at that academy. This woman was wearing a white shirt and a black skirt, which apparently was torn on the left side, revealing her smooth legs and part of her underwear. This woman had blonde hair and green eyes. She had cup boba s, and the torn skirt gave a show of her plump. But these 2 women were the ones who approached Takagi to see if she was okay. But the girl did not answer. She just burst into tears while being comforted by the 2 women. Meanwhile, the men just stared at Naruto, since he was not dressed the same as them, which suggested that he was from outside the school. They stared at him for a few moments until one of the boys went to close the door to the teacher's room, since they were in it, and did not want more zombies to attack them out of nowhere. "Thanks for your help, but who are you? And what are you doing here?" asked the same boy who closed the door. "My name is Uzumaki Naruto. I came when I heard the girl's screams, and some friends, and I came to try to find survivors in this place," Naruto answered. "What are your names?" Naruto asked the boys, who looked at each other only to feel. "My name is Takashi Komuro," the boy who closed the door introduced himself. He had brown hair and eyes. He was wearing the school uniform for boys, and he was carrying a baseball bat in his right hand. "My name is Kota Hirano," the fat boy with glasses introduced himself. no offense, who was the one standing next to Takagi. My name is Siko Byasujima. A girl with purple hair and purple eyes introduced herself. She was wearing the same school uniform as the other two girls. The only difference was that her skirt was at knee level. She has D-cup boba s and a voluptuous, but she used a wooden bokken as a weapon. This is Rei Miyamoto, said Takashi, pointing to the orange-haired girl. This is Shizuka Marikata. She is the nurse of this school, he said, pointing to the blonde-haired woman. And this is Saya Takagi, he said, introducing the pink-haired girl. Nice to meet you, said Naruto, giving a slight smile. This caused the pink-haired girl to frown, seeing them so relaxed in a situation like that. How can you be so calm? Asked Takagi, and then went into shock, saying nonsense. But Siko managed to calm her down, but Takagi started to cry. They stayed like that for a few minutes. Then both Takashi and Kota watched as Naruto took something from the zombies. Looking closer, they saw that Naruto was removing some black kunai from the zombies' skulls. Then they watched as he passed by the two girls who were with Takagi. Seeing him walk towards them, the boys had become somewhat tense, since they did not know what intentions he had. But they relaxed when he passed by the girls. They all looked where he was going, only to see how he arrived at the corpse of the zombie that Takagi had supposedly killed. But after seeing Naruto remove a kunai from the back of the zombie's head, they understood that he had saved the girl. After that, Takagi went to a sink to clean her face, which was covered in a little blood from drilling the zombie in the head. We need to get out of here, Hirano said. Dr. Marikawa, you have a car, right? Takashi asked, to which the doctor nodded. Do you have your keys? He asked, only for the doctor to search for her keys in her bag. But is it a car that fits all of us? Siko asked, just so the doctor would stop looking for her keys. What about the trucks? Rei asked. It's true, the buses they use to take students to sports activities, said Siko opinionatedly. It's true, the keys are on the hook on the wall, said Rei, taking the key and giving it to the doctor. I see the bus, but of the 6 that were there, only one remains, said Hirano after looking out the window towards the parking lot. So more survivors managed to get out thanks to the other clones, said Naruto's clone, leaning against a wall watching what everyone was saying. But where would we go? Asked Dr. Shizuka. We could go pick up our closest families, and when we're all there we could go look for a safe place to stay, said Takashi, to which everyone nodded in agreement. Well then, let's not waste any more time, said Hirano this time. Are you coming with us? Takashi asked Naruto. I will accompany you to the exit. I have to keep looking for survivors, said the clones, since once they left the original could protect them. Okay, then let's go, said Takashi, to which everyone nodded and left the teacher's room, Hirano shooting nails at the heads of the zombies, Takashi crushing the heads of others, Siko doing the same as Takashi. Naruto, for his part, was protecting the girls who were not fighting. He also threw kunais at the farthest zombies to easily make their way through. Suddenly the group heard a girl's scream. The group quickly headed towards the place. Upon arrival they saw a group of 5 young people, 3 men and 2 women. But they saw that the group was being surrounded by zombies. Just when a zombie was going to attack one of the boys, a nail stuck in a nail. Okay, no. A nail stuck in 100 of the zombie, killing it instantly. Then Naruto jumped into the air and accurately threw several kunai that embedded themselves in the heads of the other zombies, killing them. Thank you, said a girl from the group. Don't talk so loud. Was anyone bitten? Siko said and asked, to which the boys denied. None of us were bitten, said a boy wearing a boy's school uniform and a yellow scarf. If you want, you can come with us. We plan to get out of here, said Naruto, only to see the boys nod. Now with the new members the group continued their way towards the exit. When they were going down the stairs they ran into a horde of more than 10 zombies. But luckily none noticed the presence of the group of boys. Listen, I'll distract them. You run outside and don't stop, said Naruto seriously. Are you crazy? If you do that, you won't survive facing so many of them, said Takashi. Listen, I'll manage to get back with you. I'll see you near that thing you call the truck, said Naruto as he could see a sign with a carriage type, but long and without horses, and below it said truck. Wait, if we all support each other we could get out of this place without you having to risk yourself, said Siko. Don't worry, I'll catch up with you there, said Naruto before jumping towards the zombie horde and making noise, taking the zombie horde to the other side, following Naruto, leaving the path to the exit clear. Come on, let's not waste this opportunity that Naruto gave us, said Kakashi, to which everyone nodded and began to leave. Outside the academy, Naruto, Mikoto, and Konan were waiting for the last group of survivors. Of all the clones that had gone to look for survivors had returned with at least 1 or 2 survivors, mostly women. These had left in the trucks and only one clone was missing. Naruto, Mikoto, and Konan were in front of the last truck. Instantly Naruto received the memories of his clone. At that same moment Naruto saw a group of 11 survivors leave the entrance of the academy, but unfortunately there were zombies on the way. Isn't that Naruto? Hirano asked, looking at Naruto and 2 girls next to the truck. How did I get there so fast? Rei asked this time. That boy is interesting, Siko thought to herself. Skillful, attacks without hesitation, and is good at combat, Siko thought with interest. That doesn't matter, we have to get to the bus to get out of here, and it seems that for that we will have to make way, said Takashi, looking at the horde of zombies in front of them. Let's go then, said one of the boys from the other group holding a metal tube. Everyone nodded and launched themselves against the group. Mikoto-kan, Kananchan, let's open the way for them, but only use kunais and shuriken, don't use ninjutsu, we don't want them to distrust us, said Naruto, to which the 2 women nodded and began to run towards the horde of zombies. Both Naruto and his 2 companions as well as the 2 groups of young people ran, eliminating zombie after zombie that was in their way. They managed to open their way and reach the bus. Both Naruto and Mikoto and Konan got on the bus, but in the distance they saw another group of survivors running in their direction. There were 2 girls and 5 boys, of which one was a teacher. Those who were on the bus just stared. Who is it? Takashi asked. It's Shido, the teacher of Class 3A, answered Siko. Upon hearing this, Rei became tense and a little annoyed. We're ready to go, said Dr. Shizuka. Let's wait for them, said Takashi. But there are several in front of us. We can't drive with them all grouped together, said the doctor, watching as a group of several zombies walked towards them from the front of the bus. Just run them over, said one of the boys from the other group. If he does, we could turn back, said Takagi. Takashi was going to go out to help the approaching group, but Rei stopped him and told him to let them die, but in an annoyed tone. Apparently she had a grudge against someone in the approaching group. Naruto, hearing that, stared at those who were running in his direction. Mikoto and Konan did nothing, since in these cases they were used to being ruled by the strongest, which is why Naruto was their leader there. Hurry up, I guarantee we'll get out, said the teacher named Shido, stopping and signaling for them to hurry. All the students passed by him, but a boy tripped and ended up right at the teacher's feet. Teacher, I twisted my ankle, please help me, said the boy, who fell silent. Oh, so this is the end for you. You'll give us time to save ourselves, said the teacher, and then kicked the boy in the face. Naruto saw this and frowned. Then he saw how the teacher started running towards the bus, leaving the boy alone. That damn guy, said Mikoto, about to jump into the attack, but Naruto stopped her. No, if we kill him now it would be too gentle for him. I have something better planned for people like him, said Naruto with a darkened look, and then jumped to the ground. As he landed on his feet, he ran towards the boy who was on the ground, passing by the side of the teacher. At that moment time ran in slow motion, and just when Naruto passed by Shido, Naruto said a few words to him. You will pay for this, I assure you, said Naruto in a dark tone that disconcerted the teacher a little, who did not take much importance and continued running. Naruto, when he reached the boy, took him by the arm and put it behind his neck to help him walk. Come on, let's get out of here, said Naruto, but instantly he saw how several zombies surrounded him. Meanwhile, Professor Shido managed to reach the truck with his group. Let's get out of here quickly, said the professor to Dr. Shizuka. Not yet, we have to wait for Naruto, said Siko, causing the teacher to frown. He won't make it. Look, he's surrounded by those things, said Shido, pointing to where Naruto was. Everyone saw that the zombies had surrounded Naruto and the boy without giving them any chance to escape. But what happened next left everyone surprised. With Naruto and the boy were surrounded by several zombies. Naruto looked from one side to the other, but could not find any way out. I'll have to use it. Well, it'll be my chance to see if it works, Naruto thought, and then sent chakra to his eyes, activating his Rinnegan Shinra Tensei, Naruto whispered as he made a large chakra shockwave that sent all the zombies flying. The boy he was carrying had fainted from the teacher's blows, so he couldn't see or hear what Naruto had said and done. The zombies flew out in all directions. Some passed by the side of the bus until they crashed into the wall behind it. Naruto, seeing that he had free space, ran towards the bus. When he was close, he gestured to Mikoto and Konan, and they understood what Naruto wanted to tell them, so they quickly got on the bus, only for Naruto to get in seconds later. Shizuka-kun, let's go, Naruto said, to which the doctor nodded and stepped on the accelerator, taking out several zombies and breaking the gate, thus managing to escape from the academy. A few meters after leaving, they finally broke the silence. We did it, said Takashi, to which Hirano nodded. Thanks for saving us, said the professor, walking from the back of the bus where those who came with him were. At the front of the bus were Takashi's group and the second surviving group, along with Naruto, Mikoto, Konan, and the boy that Naruto saved. Professor Shido walked until they were near Siko. Are you the leader, Byasujima-san? Asked Professor Shido with a tone that denoted that he was planning something. We don't have a leader. We survive by working as a team, Siko answered monotonously while cleaning her bokken with a rag. That's not right. We need a leader to survive, said Professor Shido, seeing an opportunity for his plans. But before anyone could answer, a boy from Shido's group spoke up. Our city, said the boy, looking out the window as the city was in complete chaos, several buildings and houses burning. Everyone saw this and was surprised to see how in just a few hours their entire city was in ruins. They decided to look away from the city and continued driving for a while longer. But one of Shido's group spoke again. We'll never survive if we continue like this. Besides, why do we have to do what you were planning to do? Did you decide to return to the city without asking us? Couldn't we have found a safe place at school? The boy asked. It's true, we could have stopped at the store from a few moments ago. It seemed like a good shelter, said another boy from Shido's group. At this moment, the boy that Shido had passed was already conscious again. Shizuka couldn't resist it anymore and suddenly braked, managing to make the boy who spoke first fall since he was standing, something that Naruto didn't take kindly to since when he felt the boy's arm hit Naruto's face. But nobody noticed this except for Mikoto and Konan. That's enough. I can't concentrate on driving with you guys screaming, said Dr. Shizuka in an annoyed manner. What do you think we should do then? Siko asked the boy who had already stood up and who remained silent for a few moments before pointing at Naruto and Takashi. I can't stand those two guys, said the boy for no reason. Both Hirano and the two shinobi were going to attack the boy to control him, but Hirano was stopped by Takagi's hand and the two shinobi were stopped by Naruto. Why? What did we do to you? Takashi asked seriously, but the boy got more upset. Damn, said the boy, trying to hit Takashi. Rei, seeing this, was going to attack, but Naruto went ahead and punched the boy in the stomach, sending him crashing into the back of the bus, becoming unconscious in the process. The lady asked them to calm down, said Naruto with his gaze darkened. Everyone looked at this impressed since Naruto had knocked out the boy with a blow and sent him to the back of the bus. But everyone reacted when they heard Professor Shido applaud. Your strength to impart order is impressive, but nevertheless this proves that I am right. To survive we need a leader, said Professor Shido, appearing arrogant. And I suppose you're applying to be one, or am I mistaken? Konan asked indifferently. Well, I'm a teacher and the rest of you are students and minors. It's obvious that I'm more qualified to be the leader, said Professor Shido arrogantly, but then took a friendly stance. If I were a leader, I would avoid these conflicts, said Shido, to which his group clapped in agreement. Shido smiled at seeing his group clap, but however his smile vanished when Naruto spoke. If abandoning a survivor just to live is being a good leader, then everyone here would be terrible leaders. Naruto spoke calmly, causing Shido to frown. Would you carry an injured person who would only slow them down, and this could cause your entire group to die? Asked Shido, to which Naruto just smiled. Would you leave your mother, brother, or children if they were in that situation? Naruto asked, making the teacher frown again for not expecting that question. This made the second group see Naruto as a good leader, and even Takashi's group. They are totally different things. A person from your family to a stranger is totally different, answered a boy from Shido's group. Look, kid, I've lived through things you can't imagine, but I've never abandoned a friend to save myself. I've always respected a motto that one of my sensei taught me, which is that whoever breaks the rules is trash, but whoever abandons their friends is worse than trash, said Naruto, managing to make the two girls from Shido's group remember all the students their teacher sacrificed so they could be saved. There had undoubtedly been more than 6. Then let's put it to a vote, said Mikoto seriously. Fine, I'm running to be leader, said Shido in an arrogant manner. Then I nominate Naruto as leader, said Takashi unexpectedly, surprising everyone since they thought he would run for leader. Only the 3 boys who still had faith in their teacher voted for Shido, but Takashi's group, the second group they saved, the boy Naruto helped, and the 2 girls from Shido's group voted for Naruto. It's decided, Naruto will be the leader then, said Rei with a slight smile, remembering how Naruto saved the boy sending the zombies flying. This caused Shido to frown, as did the other 2 boys in his group, but when they saw that the 2 girls betrayed them, they tried to attack them, but were stopped by Mikoto and Konan with a pair of kunais on their necks. Girls, come this way. You'll be safer, said Takagi, to which the girls nodded and walked to the front of the bus, leaving Shido and his last 2 followers in the back. Takashi, you, Mikoto-kan, and Kananchan will be second in command, said Naruto seriously. Apparently having the 9 bijus inside him influenced his personality a little, but any decision will be put to a vote. I will not force you to do something you do not want, since a good leader is one who listens to opinions and decides what is best to keep the people who trust him safe. So any conflict between us will be solved with dialogue and not with fights, said Naruto, to which everyone smiled slightly. Upon hearing Naruto's words, okay, said Takashi with a slight smile. That's absurd, a brat being a leader. You don't have the necessary experience to lead and look after the lives of everyone here, said Shido, trying to make everyone reconsider. Well, if you don't like what we decided, you're free to leave. There's a van right here in front, and it seems to still work. If you want, you can leave with your followers, said Siko. Okay, you'll be the ones who die for trusting this guy, said Shido, only for him and the 2 guys who were still following him to get off the bus and get into the truck and leave. Okay, now we need a place to stay and spend the night, said Naruto, relaxing the atmosphere a little. We could go to a friend's apartment. She's always traveling, and from time to time I clean her apartment, so I have keys. Plus it's the closest place I know since it's just a few blocks away, said Dr. Shizuka. I think it's a good idea, said Naruto. So what are we waiting for? It would be very dangerous to drive at night, said one of the boys from the second group. Okay, sit down and fasten your seatbelts because now we will leave, said the doctor, sitting in the driver's seat and then taking the road. Naruto in a world of the living dead. Be careful with that character speaking. What will be for breakfast, character thinking? Hey, are you hearing me? Character speaking mentally. That must have hurt my note or opinion. Rasengan Jutsu o Technica. Chapter 2 Trust. The bus group drove for a couple of hours until they managed to reach Shizuka's friend's house. Upon arriving, they saw that the entrance door was made of reinforced iron, There was also a military-type Humvee that apparently was also armored. The house had large fences, enough to prevent the zombies from jumping over it. "This is a good place. The fences will prevent the zombies from passing," said Takashi while Hirano kept his eyes on the Humvee, since apparently he was a fan of military things. "What kind of friends does Shizuka-sensei have?" Takagi asked, to which the doctor just smiled nervously. "Leaving that aside, why don't we go inside and get settled?" Naruto asked, but before they could answer they all turned to the stairs only to see a group of zombies coming down the stairs that were inside the grounds of the house. "Let's take care of this," said Mikoto, preparing a kunai. "Make it quick, I want to rest," said Konan, unsheathing a kunai just like Mikoto. "We will help them," said Hirano, pointing his nail gun. "We will need it, they can do it alone," said Naruto, just so everyone could see the two women running against the zombies, and then they started stabbing the zombies in the skull. Some had their heads cut off and others were split in two. It all lasted only a minute. The boys' faces were of disbelief and astonishment as they saw how two women killed more than 20 zombies in exactly 1 minute. "She's free," Mikoto announced from the top of the stairs. "Okay, let's go," said Naruto, causing everyone to come out of their surprise and follow Naruto into the house. They also had some questions to ask Naruto and his companions based on what they just saw. When they entered, they searched the house to see if one of those things had managed to get in. When they verified that it was safe, they all gathered in the living room. "Okay, why don't you share the rooms?" asked one of the girls from the second group. "I think the main thing would be to introduce ourselves since we don't know your names," said Mikoto to the boys, the second group and the former followers of Professor Shido. "Oh, sorry, my name is Takaya Misato," said one of the girls who had blue hair and eyes, wore the school uniform and had C-cup boba S along with a voluptuous butt. "My name is Shido Toka," the second girl introduced herself. She had green hair and eyes along with E-cup boba S and a slightly voluptuous butt. "My name is Hisaya Ryu," one of the three boys introduced himself. He had brown hair and eyes and was wearing the school uniform and had a metal cane as a weapon. "My name is Yamada Tatsumi," another boy introduced himself, who had black eyes and hair and was dressed in the school uniform. He also used a baseball bat as a weapon. "My name is Kusanagi Iori," the last boy introduced himself. He had red eyes and hair. He was dressed in the school uniform and had a metal tube as a weapon. Then the next to introduce themselves were Shido's former followers. "My name is Tanaka Naomi," a girl with red eyes and hair introduced herself. She had C-cup boba S and a big butt. She was wearing the school uniform and had a mole under her lower lip. "My name is Fujita Umi," the second girl introduced herself. She had green hair and eyes. She also wore the girl's school uniform. She had D-cup boba S and a not so voluptuous but defined butt, and this girl wore glasses. "My name is Hamura Shin," the last boy introduced himself, who was the one who had been kicked by Shido and Naruto saved him. "Nice to meet you, my name is Naruto Uzumaki," Naruto introduced himself. "My name is Mikoto Uchiha," Mikoto introduced herself. "My name is Omegawa Konan," Konan introduced herself, saying the surname based on where she lived her entire childhood, that is, in Amagakure. "My name is Komuro Takashi," Takashi introduced himself, although since they arrived he had been surreptitiously looking at Naruto, but that did not go unnoticed by Naruto or the two shinobi girls who knew that because of what they had shown they would have to tell them the truth to prevent them from distrusting them. "My name is Busujima Siko," Siko introduced herself. "My name is Kota Hirano," Hirano introduced himself. "My name is Miyamoto," Rei Rei introduced herself. "My name is Saya Takagi," Takagi introduced herself. "You already know me, but anyway, I'm Shizuka Marikawa," the doctor introduced herself. "Now that we've introduced ourselves, let's divide up the rooms," said Takashi, to which everyone nodded. The house had 4 bedrooms, a dining room, a kitchen, a living room, a bathroom with jacuzzi included, and also a basement where they had found several supplies. There are 4 rooms and we are 17. We are 7 men and 10 women. The men could stay in groups and the women in 2 groups of 5, said Takashi. Sounds good to me, said Siko. Okay, then the girls will use the bathroom first, said Ray, to which no one protested, and all the girls followed Ray to the bathroom. By the way, I found a safe in one of the rooms. It would be good to see what's inside. Maybe there's something we can use, said Hirano, earning a nod from everyone. So they all went to the room where the safe was. Each of them tried to open it, but none could. Let's see if this works, said Naruto's, taking out some ninja wire and a kunai. Then he put both in the lock of the safe and moved them a little, managing to open the safe. Then Naruto stood up and stepped back so the boys could see what was inside. Seeing what was inside, Hirano's eyes lit up when he saw several firearms inside. Incredible! A Springfield M1A1 Super Match. It's semi-automatic. Something great, since the M14 series is just a waste of bullets, Hirano said, holding what appeared to be a rifle with a scope and then passing the weapon and taking another one that was inside. This while Takashi tried to return it to the real world. Oh, we also have a reinforced Knight Senior 25 rifle. No, wait, it's illegal in Japan. So it must be a modified AR-10, he said, taking the other rifle out of the safe, but this one had a telescopic sight for those who played PUBG and X8 as with the other one. He passed it to then see Takashi take one. Oh, that's an Ithaca M37 riot shotgun. It was made by the Americans and played an important role in Vietnam, Hirano said excitedly. But his face changed to a scared one when he saw Takashi pointing at him. Even if it's not loaded, don't point it at someone. The only ones you should be aiming at would be, Hirano said, leaving the prayer in the air. To them, said Shin seriously. Even so, I hope it's the only thing I have to aim at, said Takashi, lowering the weapon while Hirano searched the safe again. You know that's impossible. Things will only get worse and people will go crazy sooner or later, said Ryu, while Naruto watched the interaction leaning against a wall. Oh, an MSMC. This is a powerful automatic submachine gun that is lethal at close range, Hirano said, and then passed it over and took out another one. Oh, and this is a Galil Ace. It is an automatic assault rifle and its rounds are lethal at close and long range. Then he performed the same action of passing the weapon over and taking out another one in our 870 MCS. It is a shotgun that at close range can literally open a hole in your stomach or blow your head into 1,000 pieces. Then he repeated the same action. Oh, a PDW-57. It is a submachine gun that uses 50mm charges. Its rate of fire is high, and its recoil is somewhat abrupt, but it can definitely be lethal in the right hands, said Hirano, almost drooling over that weapon. It is worth mentioning that all weapons had a sight and grip. Let's see, now we have handguns, an executioner. It is a double-action revolver that can blow your head off if you aim at the center. It has a capacity of 8 bullets, he said, and then took another one. Oh, attack 45. It has enough power to pierce 3 skulls at a distance of 5 meters. It has a capacity for 10 charges. But since it has an extended magazine, it has a capacity for 13 charges, said Hirano, and passed the weapon again. Ooh, now we have a FAL OSW. It is a semi-automatic assault rifle with a capacity for 35 charges. This also has the power to kill at least 2 of those things with 1 bullet to the head, said Hirano. At this moment everyone looked at him incredulously, seeing that he knew a lot about weapons. And Naruto, well, he just looked confused that they were excited about those weapons according to them. And finally we have a Mauser Car 98K. It is a bolt-action submachine gun. It uses 7.92 Fe bullets used by the standard infantry in 1935. It has the power to kill someone at a distance of almost 1,600 meters, said Hirano, leaving the rifle on the ground and then seeing that there were no more weapons. I guess those were all, said Hirano, looking at the empty safe. But Naruto could see a thin line in one of the corners, so he approached and with his kunai he pried it, revealing a background. Seeing what was behind it, Hirano almost died of surprise, although you could say he had a no, it can't be. A DRS-50 is a sniper rifle capable of killing at over 3,000 meters in the hands of a professional. It was developed in Germany, and is usually used with a silencer for silent killings, said Hirano, holding the rifle in front of him. It seems you know a lot about weapons, said Tatsumi. Well, during the holidays I usually go with my father to the shooting ranges, said Hirano. Well then, start assembling and arming these weapons, said Takashi, to which everyone nodded. I'll be back in a few moments. I'll go get some water, said Naruto, and then left the room, leaving the other boys with their weapons. Naruto then went to the kitchen, took a glass of water, and then returned to the room where the boys with weapons were. But before entering, he was pulled by a few years into a room. Naruto was on guard in case someone had infiltrated and tried to attack him, but what he saw made him blush deeply. In front of him were Konan, Mikoto, Toka, Shizuka, and Siko only. Tangled in a towel with nothing else underneath. What's wrong, girls? Asked Naruto, blushing, seeing the girls in front of him, almost naked. Naruto-kun, you've been a good boy, and good boys get a new start, Konan said naughtively as Naruto approached slowly, as did the other girls. When they were close enough, Konan kissed Naruto on the cheek, Mikoto kissed him on the other cheek, Shizuka kissed him on the neck, Siko, to the envy of all, kissed her mouth, and Toka began to take off his shirt. When Naruto felt Siko's kiss, he detected a bitter taste, and that was when he realized what was happening. The girls in front of him were drunk. When Siko pulled away, Naruto managed to free himself from the girl's grip. Sorry, but it's time to sleep, said Naruto, and in a burst of speed he left all the girls unconscious. When he left them unconscious, he created 4 clones and took them bridal style. Then he put them in bed and covered them with the blanket as their clones disappeared. Sleep well. I guess I'll have to take care of the other girls, or this will end badly tomorrow, said Naruto before leaving the room. When he reached the room where the boys were with the weapons, he noticed that in effect the girls were inciting the boys, who seemed to resist since they were apparently aware that the girls were drunk. Naruto quickly ran and left the girls unconscious with a blow to the back of the head. Thanks, a little more and we wouldn't have lasted, said Ryu. How much alcohol did you drink to get like that? Iori asked. I don't know, but better go leave them in your room. I'll go get the alcohol, and if there's any left I'll hide it, said Naruto, to which everyone nodded and took the girls. Only Hirano stayed in the bedroom preparing the magazines for the weapons. Naruto began to look for the bottles of alcohol that the girls had drunk, and luckily he found them in the living room. Apparently the girls had finished taking a bath and had quietly left, and had gone to drink in the living room. He didn't pay much attention to it, and collected all the bottles of sake and wine. Then when he saw that no one was looking, he took out a scroll and sealed inside the scroll all the liquor bottles he managed to find. Luckily Ero-sen taught me few ninjutsu during our training trip, Naruto thought, remembering his deceased sensei. A voice made him come out of his thoughts. When he turned his eyes, he saw Takashi entering the room. Hey, we already left the girls in their room. We're going to sleep now, okay? Asked Takashi. I'll sleep here on the couch, and that way I can alert you if something happens, said Naruto, although in reality he was very tired and didn't think he'd be able to wake up even if a rock fell on his head, or a bald guy with 6 stitches on his forehead threw a rock at him from afar. As you wish, but Hirano said he would stand guard tonight, so rest well, said Takashi, to which Naruto thanked him. Thank you and good night, said Naruto, to which Takashi nodded and left Naruto on the sofa where there happened to be a blanket. The next day, everyone was getting up. The girls woke up from their dreams with a severe headache, all except for 2 who were still asleep, and these were none other than Mikoto and Konan. The girls who were in the room found this strange, but judging by the clothes they were wearing before, they assumed that they had been through something difficult and really needed to rest. That's what they assumed, since when they met them, both women had their clothes very worn and somewhat torn. The girls decided to let Mikoto and Konan rest for a while longer. Therefore, what they did was dress in the same clothes as the day before. This is what the girls who were in the other room did. The boys woke up a little uncomfortable because they couldn't get the images of the half-naked girls out of their heads and couldn't sleep comfortably. When they got up, they went to the balcony so Hirano could rest, while Takashi, Tatsumi, and Rui went to wake Naruto up. But the moment they went down the stairs, a delicious smell reached their noses. When they entered the kitchen, they saw Naruto preparing breakfast. Then looked at the dining room and saw several plates with food already served. Both found it strange that Naruto got up early, since they assumed by his outfit when they saw him They assumed he would be very tired. When they looked at the clock on the wall, they saw that it was already noon, so now it was not strange to them that Naruto was already awake. "Good morning, guys," Naruto greeted, seeing the three boys looking at him. "Good morning" was the only thing they answered. "Could you go talk to the others so they come for breakfast? Or rather lunch, since it's late?" asked Naruto while preparing some cups of coffee. The three boys just nodded and went to tell the others. 5 minutes later everyone came down, including Mikoto and Konan. All the girls, when they came down, looked in surprise at Naruto, who was preparing the food. Then they looked at the table and saw several plates with food accompanied by a cup of coffee. "Good morning. Sit down or your food will get cold," said Naruto with a cup of coffee in his hand, which he gave to Hirano, who accepted it with pleasure and went to sit down at that later. Everyone followed Hirano's example and sat at the table to eat. "I didn't know you cooked," Mikoto said, a little surprised, then took a sip of her coffee to wake up. "Well, when you've lived your whole life alone, you learn many things," said Naruto, generating intrigue in the boys, sadness and surprise in the girls when they understood Naruto's words, and causing Mikoto to curse herself when she remembered those days of her childhood to Naruto. "I'm sorry," Mikoto apologized, but Naruto denied it. "Don't worry, it doesn't affect me anymore. After all, that's in the past," said Naruto with a slight smile as he also sat at the table. "Fine, let's eat, since today will be a busy day for some of us," said Naruto, to which everyone nodded with doubt. When they finished eating, the girls, Rei and Toka, volunteered to wash the dishes. Siko and Shizuka helped them by clearing the table, while the others went to the living room table. "Naruto, what are we doing today?" Shin asked, wanting to know why Naruto said it would be a busy day. "Well, I said it because I want to go to the city to look for a clothing store to get new clothes, since we will need them," said Naruto, only for the boys to realize that Naruto still had his clothes torn. "Oh, that's a good idea, but we can't all go," said Ryu. "That's why I'll go with 8 more people, then we'll come back and I'll accompany the next 8 again," said Naruto. "Well, that's a good idea. Besides, there's the bus, and it's worth filling it up at a gas station," said Iori, to which the others nodded in agreement. "So who will be the first?" asked Takagi. "You choose, but make it mixed, so we can cover ourselves better," said Naruto, to which everyone nodded and began to agree. After a few moments, the girls who were in the kitchen arrived and also began to agree on who would go in the first group. After a few minutes, they decided. "Well, in the first group will go Takagi, Rei, me, Iori, Shizuka-sensei, Misato, Shin and Umi, and in the second will go Maikoto-san, Konanzan, Ryu, Siko-san, Toka, Naomi and Tatsumi," said Takashi, to which Naruto nodded. "Well, I suppose Shizuka-can will accompany us on the second trip, since she is the only one who knows how to drive," said Naruto, to which the doctor nodded. "Well, let's go, since we have to find the clothing store and a place to fill up the bus with fuel," said Naruto, remembering how Takashi said about the bus. "Then let's go," said Shizuka, taking the bus keys. "Mikoto-can, Kananchan are in charge," Naruto said, only to receive a nod before leaving with the first group. They all got on the bus and Dr. Shizuka started it, and then drove towards a clothing store that she knew was close to where they were staying. Also, a few blocks away there was a gas station. It took them about 10 minutes to get to the clothing store. When they arrived, everyone got off the bus. "A couple of blocks ahead there is a gas station, so once we finish here, we can go fill up the bus and get some supplies," said Dr. Shizuka, looking at Naruto. "Okay, now wait here. I'll go make sure there are no zombies inside," said Naruto, taking out a kunai from his back bag while receiving a nod from everyone. Then Naruto looked at the teacher, and she opened the door. Getting off the bus, Naruto entered the store. He scanned the entire place. He was surprised to see that the clothes were also very different in that dimension. He left those aside and concentrated on his work of verifying that everything was free of those things. He walked behind the counter and saw only a pool of blood, but his attention was diverted when he heard a strange noise in what seemed to be the dressing rooms. He walked towards each of them and pulled the curtain of the first one. He saw nothing. Then he walked to the second one and pulled the curtain. But there was nothing there either. He looked at the other 4 dressing rooms that remained. He decided not to risk it and walked a few steps back. Then he took out 6 kunais from his shuriken holder and threw 2 at the 3rd dressing room, 2 at the 4th, and at the others he only threw 1. All of them he had thrown at head height. When he checked the dressing rooms, he saw that in the 2nd and 3rd there was nothing. Then he looked in the 4th and saw a zombie woman with her kunai in her head. Then he passed the 5th dressing room and saw another zombie man with his kunai on his head. Finally he reached the 6th, from which he could hear light sobs, almost inaudible. He opened the curtain and saw a girl of about 17 years old looking at him with terror and tears in her eyes. Naruto did not trust her and quickly searched her with his eyes. Not seeing a bite, he held out his hand. "Are you okay?" Naruto asked, but he could see that the girl was scared. "Don't worry, I won't hurt you, you're safe now," Naruto said, giving the girl a smile, which made her calm down and take Naruto's hand to stand up. "What's your name?" Naruto asked the girl. "My name is Nagashi Himari," I answered the boy with my trembling voice. "Tell me, did those things bite you?" Naruto asked, to which the girl denied. "No, this blood is from my parents who turned into those things and I had to kill them," the girl answered with some tears coming out of her eyes when she remembered that. "I'm sorry, but now you have nothing to fear. We will take care of you," said Naruto, to which the girl nodded. "Us?" asked the girl, noticing what Naruto said. "Yes, me and some friends came to get some clothes and to go fill up a bus before returning to our shelter. If you want, you can come with us," said Naruto, to which the girl nodded happily. "I would like to," said the girl with a smile. "Okay, I'll go call the others," said Naruto, and then walked to the entrance and signaled to those on the bus that everything was in order. When everyone entered, Naruto introduced them to the girl. Dr. Shizuka used one of the changing rooms to see if the girl had not been bitten. When she finished, the doctor nodded when she saw that she had not been bitten. After that, everyone began to look for clothes. Each one took 3 changes of clothes in addition to the one they were wearing. Dr. Shizuka was now dressed in denim shorts, a white licorice shirt and white tennis shoes. Her second change of clothes was black pants and a black long-sleeved shirt as well as black tennis shoes, and her third change was more for winter, consisting of black tights, black pants, a white long-sleeved shirt, a brown sweater and a somewhat thick white jacket. Takagi was now wearing red pants and a pink shirt with white boots. Her second change was blue denim shorts with a red licorice shirt and yellow tennis shoes. Her third change was also for winter, which consisted of lycra tights and purple pants, a white shirt and a green sweater along with a jacket. Rei was now dressed in a set of blue pants, a red shirt and black tennis shoes. Her second change was almost the same, only instead of the blue pants it was yellow and her shirt was orange. Her third change was gray tights and pants with a white shirt and sweater and a gray jacket. Iori was wearing a white shirt and black pants, as well as green tennis shoes. His second change was the same, only the shirt was now blue. Seeing that the girls took winter clothes, he assumed that it would also be a good idea, since now that he remembered there were only a few months left for winter, so he took a pair of black pants and a blue cotton shirt. He also took a brown leather jacket and some boots. Takashi was now wearing black pants, a black shirt, and white sneakers. His second change consisted of black pants and a red shirt. His third change was also for winter and consisted of blue pants, a long-sleeved red shirt, and a black jacket along with black combat boots. Misato was now wearing green tights and a pink shirt, as well as blue tennis shoes. Her second change consisted of cream pants and a purple blouse. Her third change was a cherry jacket with a red long-sleeved shirt, red tights and pants, and white boots. Ami now dressed similarly to Misato, only her tights were sky blue and her shirt was salmon-colored and her tennis shoes were white. Her second change was brown pants and a white shirt. Her third change consisted of white tights and pants along with a long-sleeved blouse, a sweater, and a red jacket. Shin was now dressed in blue pants, a white t-shirt, and a green shirt along with blue tennis shoes. His second change consisted of black jeans and a blue polo shirt. His third change consisted of loose dark brown pants along with a forest green shirt and a somewhat thick orange jacket. Himari also took 3 changes of clothes when Naruto explained to her why they would be necessary, so she now wore a green skirt, underneath she wore blue licorice shorts, she wore a white button-down shirt. Her second change consisted of the same thing, only the colors changed, the blue skirt, the green shorts and the black shirt. Her third change consisted of blue pants and blue leggings along with a long-sleeved blouse and a white sweater and a green jacket. Naruto was now wearing black cargo pants, a black long-sleeved licorice shirt, black combat boots and a cape like the one he used in his battle against Paint, only this one was black with red flames at the end. His second coat consisted of the same cape, but this time he wore blood-red cargo pants, a shirt and a black shirt. His third coat consisted of black pants, a blood-red shirt and a black leather jacket along with a third cape. After everyone finished taking their changes of clothes, they took some large plastic bags that were in a drawer of the counter and put their changes of clothes in them. After that they got on the bus and headed towards the gas station. When they arrived, everything was almost peaceful. There were only a few zombies that had followed them and others that were at the gas station, but the boys took care of them easily. After killing the zombies, they took the necessary supplies from the store and filled the bus with fuel. When they finished, they got on the bus and returned to the shelter. When they arrived, they unloaded everything they had gotten and the second group got on the bus, Takashi being in charge this time. When they arrived back at the store, everyone took 3 changes of clothes. Mikoto was now dressed in tight black pants and a black shirt along with a black leather jacket with black combat boots and black combat gloves. Her second change was the same, only she changed the black shirt for a red one. Her third change consisted of black leggings, tight black pants and a red long-sleeved shirt, a leather jacket and a red sweatshirt. Konan dressed the same as Mikoto, but the only difference is that in her other changes she took a shirt, long-sleeved shirt and blue sweater. Hirano was now dressed in jeans and a white shirt with a black sports jacket over it. His second change consisted of a white military uniform, and his third change consisted of sports pants, a long-sleeved shirt, a blue sweater, and a dark blue jacket. Ryu was wearing green sports pants and jacket along with white tennis shoes. His second change consisted of gray jeans, a red shirt, and his third change consisted of black pants, a white shirt, and a green jacket. Siko was wearing a somewhat tight black skirt, a white school-style shirt, purple lace stockings, and black wide-heeled heels. Her second change consisted of a somewhat tight purple short skirt and a formal white shirt over which she wore a black jacket, and her third change consisted of dark purple pants and tights, a melon-colored long-sleeved high-necked shirt, a purple jacket, and black snow boots. Tatsumi was wearing brown pants with a white polo shirt and a yellow vest. His second change was cream-colored pants with a yellow polo shirt and green tennis shoes. His third change was dark blue pants and a black shirt with black boots and a jacket. Toko was wearing a dark green knee-length skirt and a blue shirt with white sneakers. Her second change consisted of black wings with a blue shirt, and her third change consisted of dark blue tights and pants with white boots, a green high-necked shirt, and a cherry-colored jacket. Naomi was wearing jeans and a red plaid shirt with brown boots. Her second change consisted of sky blue pants and a light orange shirt, and her third change consisted of pink tights, leg warmers and pants, a white shirt, a white sweater, and a yellow jacket. Likewise, when they finished choosing their clothes, everyone put their clothes in a separate bag and then returned to the bus to then go to the shelter. When they arrived, they entered the shelter and Naruto noticed that it was barely 2 p.m., and some of the girls were already preparing food. In addition, some boys were watching television. He would not have taken it important if it were not because he managed to hear that a mutant zombie was attacking 2 officers who had been protecting the airport and clearing the runways so that the planes could take off and land without problems. It can't be, said Shizuka as she saw the television where it was shown as a zombie of apparently about 3 meters and full of muscles was attacking a 2-story building on which there was a brown-haired man and a purple-haired woman that Shizuka knew. What's wrong, Shizuka-kun? Naruto asked, seeing the doctor's expression. She, the purple-haired woman, is my friend. Her name is Rika Minami. This apartment is hers, said Shizuka, almost in tears, seeing her friend being attacked. Naruto, seeing this, could not ignore the situation. Apparently that zombie is special compared to the others, and it seems that bullets don't affect him much, said Rei, watching as both officers shot the zombie. If they don't do something, they'll both die, said Siko, to which Shizuka began to shed tears. Rika, please, I hope they can save her, she's my only friend, said Shizuka, almost crying. At that moment Naruto looked at Mikoto and Konan just to nod at them, and they understood what he meant. It's time, said Naruto, to which Mikoto and Konan nodded with a sigh. What Naruto said was heard by almost everyone. What time is it? Hirano asked, anticipating the question Takashi wanted to ask. Mikoto-kan, Kananshin, I'll ask you to explain. I'll come later, said Naruto, walking towards the door, generating more intrigue in everyone. Where are you going? Rei asked. I'll go save Shizuka-kun's friend, said Naruto without looking back and opening the door to then take a couple of steps outside the house. How will you do that? It's too far away and the bridge is closed. Asked Takashi, only to see how Naruto's appearance changed. Now he gave off a golden aura. His jacket changed to a golden one that shone. He also now wore black pants and black sandals. His hair had risen and his bangs strands rose, resembling 2 horns. Under the golden jacket he wore a black shirt which had a golden circle in the center. Also behind his back 9 black spheres were formed. Where is the airport? Naruto asked, to which the boys, out of surprise, only pointed in one direction. Thanks, see you later, Naruto said before starting to float in the air, to everyone's surprise, only to then start flying quickly in the direction of where the airport was. The boys reacted after a few moments. What was that? Asked Takashi, looking at Mikoto and Konan. Well, we will explain it to you, so please let's go to the living room, said Mikoto, walking towards the living room as well as Konan. Everyone curiously walked towards the living room since they wanted to know what Naruto did. Upon arriving at the living room, the girls sat on the couches and the boys stood up. Okay, could you explain it to us? Ryu asked. The truth is that the 3 of us are from another dimension, said Konan, causing some to frown. Do you think we'll swallow that story that you're not from this world? Said Takagi, a little annoyed, but everyone shut up when Konan disappeared into papers with a few hand poses and appeared on the other side of Mikoto. Is this proof enough? Konan asked in a stoic tone. How? Was what almost everyone asked at the same time. We already told you, we are not from this dimension. The truth is that in our dimension we were fighting in a war on which the salvation of humanity depended. We faced a goddess who wanted to put all people in an eternal sleep. But the 3 of us, and several other people, were able to defeat her and seal her in another dimension. But when we thought it was all over, this goddess created a portal behind Naruto which was dragging him. We tried to save him, but we were dragged with him because we were very tired since the war lasted more than 3 days. After being absorbed by the portal, we do not know what happened since we were unconscious and woke up when we were already in this world, Mikoto said seriously, implying that she was not lying. So, you come from another dimension in which until recently you were fighting for the survival of humanity against a goddess? Asked Takashi calmly. That's right, and as you saw, we have special abilities thanks to an energy that is inside us, said Konan calmly. What kind of skills do they have? Shin asked, intrigued. Well, there are several things. We can walk on ceilings and walls or anything that is horizontal. We can also walk on water. Also, as you saw, we can change places, disappearing in different shapes. That is the most basic for us, said Konan. The most advanced would be to be able to make attacks with the 5 elements, which would be fire, water, earth, air and lightning. Although we cannot use all 5 since each person can have different affinities, usually the people of our world have affinities. In rare cases they get to have 3, said Mikoto seriously, with both the skills they had. After all, they had to show that they could trust them. Incredible. So what did Naruto do? Iori asked, who seemed very excited. I forgot that you liked animes with supernatural powers, said Naomi, looking at her partner. Anyway, what did Naruto use? Asked Siko. Well, he is actually something like the reincarnation of the son of what we consider a god, and thanks to that he is the only one who can adopt that transformation and use some abilities that it gives him. Until now we have only seen that he can fly and transform the spheres on his back into weapons or whatever he wants, said Conan. Incredible, so Naruto-kun is very powerful, said Siko, surprised. Yes, and since our dimension was governed by a dictatorship system, that is, we were governed by the strongest, Naruto being the strongest of us, we followed his orders, said Mikoto, surprising the girls and leaving the boys with some perverted smiles and cursing Naruto internally. Well, that only to some. Now if you're wondering why we gave you all this information, well, the answer is simple. We didn't want you to distrust us for hiding this from you, said Mikoto, to which the boys understood perfectly. Thank you, and we are sorry for how we reacted. The truth is that we were surprised by what Naruto had done out of nowhere. We are sorry for distrusting you for a moment, said Takashi, to which everyone nodded with regret. Don't worry, sooner or later we would have to tell them if we wanted to use our techniques, said Conan, and then saw that Shizuka never left the television. But she had undoubtedly heard the story. It seems Shizuka is very worried about her friend, said Mikoto, to which everyone finally realized Shizuka's absence. Seeing that she was watching television, and hearing that she was still watching the news, they all got up and went to watch. When they arrived they saw how Naruto was facing the mutant zombie. With Naruto moments before. Naruto was flying at high speed towards the airport. It didn't take long to arrive. When he arrived he landed right in the center of the airport, still in the air. He scanned the place until he could identify the mutant zombie. When he saw it he could see that the zombie had the brown-haired man in his hand, apparently dead since by the blood that ran from the fist, the zombie had crushed him between his fists. Then he saw how the zombie threw the man, and set his sights on the woman who had her leg trapped under a piece of rubble that fell on her when the place where they were collapsed. The woman was shooting at the zombie, but even so the bullets seemed to do nothing to her. But unfortunately the woman had run out of bullets. At that moment the zombie began to run against the woman. At that moment Naruto intervened and flew quickly against the zombie, only to tackle him just before he attacked the girl. Rika, Shizuka's friend, was on the ground after that thing attacked her and her partner. They had been defending the airport since morning. They were cleaning the runways so the planes could take off. But out of nowhere that zombie had come out, and to her surprise the bullets seemed not to affect him much. Besides, it was difficult to hit the head since he moved a lot and his head was very small. Just when that thing attacked them her partner tried to protect her, but the zombie killed him. Without her being able to do anything since she had been trapped when the building collapsed, she tried to kill the zombie by shooting him with a .45mm, but the bullets ran out and now she just hoped someone would help her. Just when the zombie was about to attack her, she had already lost hope of being saved. But to her surprise and joy something brought down the zombie. When the dust cleared she could see that it wasn't something, but someone who brought down the zombie, apparently. It was a boy of about 17 years old with yellow eyes with a cross on them, had 3 whisker marks on his cheeks and was dressed in a strange way, and was apparently surrounded by a golden aura. Naruto, after knocking down the zombie, managed to roll on the ground and propel it away from them, but the zombie instantly re-erected itself and apparently looked at him angrily. Are you okay? Naruto asked the woman without taking his eyes off the zombie. Oh yes, thanks for saving me, said the woman, and then with both hands she lifted the stone that was on her foot, managing to free it, but her ankle was very hurt, and she couldn't walk. Don't worry, I'll get you out of here and take you to see your friend Shizuka, said Naruto, something that surprised the woman because the boy knew her friend. She was going to ask him, but she couldn't when she saw how the boy ran against the zombie. Naruto, seeing how the mutant zombie ran against him, Naruto did the same. When arriving face to face, the zombie with his arm tried to crush Naruto, but he moved quickly and dodged the zombie's attack. Note this zombie is the charge of Left 4 Dead. When he dodged the attack, Naruto managed to connect a blow to the zombie's stomach, sending him flying. I can easily defeat him in this form. In that case, I'll finish quickly so I don't waste my time in this form, Naruto said to himself, and then saw how the zombie got back on his feet. When he got up, the zombie ran furiously towards Naruto, who just waited calmly. Naruto, seeing the charge run towards him, used a Godudama and transformed it into a bar. Naruto didn't wait for the charge to arrive and ran against him. When they were close, he dodged a blow from the charge and jumped towards his head. And with a quick movement, he pierced the charge's skull, killing him instantly. When the zombie fell dead, Naruto walked to the girl. "Are you okay?" Naruto asked kindly, to which the girl just looked at him surprised, but instantly reacted. "My ankle is hurt, and I can't walk," said the girl. "I see. Well, that won't be much of a problem. Now let's go. I'll take you to your friends," said Naruto confidently. "Who are you?" the girl asked. "My name is Uzumaki Naruto," Naruto replied with a slight smile. "I mean, how could you kill that thing so easily? Even bullets didn't affect it much. So how did you manage to kill it with just that bar?" Rika asked. "Well, let's just say I have special abilities and great strength," Naruto said honestly. "Now with your permission," Naruto said before lifting the girl bridal style. "Hey, what are you doing? Put me down," said the girl without noticing that Naruto had begun to float in the air. "I don't think it's wise to do that since we're several meters above the ground," said Naruto, only for Rika to look down and be surprised to see that they were more than 40 meters above the ground. "Now hold on tight," said Naruto, and then began to fly in the direction of the house where all the boys and teachers Shizuka were. Rika instantly grabbed Naruto, putting her arms around his neck as she had instantly begun to fly at great speed, but all without realizing that a news camera had recorded everything and those who were watching it saw the demonstration of Naruto's power. Rika during the trip looked surprised at how the city looked from the sky. She also liked feeling the wind hitting directly in her face while flying over the city. It made her feel free. Then she set her sights on the boy just to look at him, who smiled slightly in a happy way. This caused a slight blush in the woman, who only saw her savior with intrigue. After a few minutes, Naruto finally managed to reach the shelter. Upon arrival, he deactivated his transformation, which surprised the girl even more when she saw Naruto changing his appearance. Before entering, Naruto explained about that transformation, and when he finished explaining it, they both entered. Upon entering, they both saw how everyone was looking at them. "Hi, I'm back," said Naruto, still carrying Rika bridal style. Rikishin, Shizuka shouted, running towards her friend. "Calm down, Shizuka-kun. Rikishin is hurt and can't walk. Let me leave her on the living room couch so they can talk while her wounds heal," said Naruto, to which the doctor nodded, and Naruto took the woman to the couch while Shizuka went for her medical equipment to heal her friend. When she found it, she quickly returned to the living room and began to heal Rika while the others went to do other activities. Some boys kept watch. Others rested to do night watch, this while the girls made food and others cleaned the house a bit so in case of an emergency they wouldn't trip over something. "I guess they managed to get here thanks to you bringing them," Rika said to Shizuka, who was bandaging her ankle. "Well, it's the only safe place I knew of," said Shizuka, to which her friend laughed slightly. "And I'm glad to see so many kids survived," said Rika, to which Shizuka nodded. "Yes, besides, if it weren't for Naruto and his companions, most of them wouldn't be here," said Shizuka, getting Rika curious. "That boy is interesting. He also has some surprising abilities. Tell me, do you know anything else about him and his companions?" Rika asked, to which Shizuka nodded and began to tell her everything Mikoto had told them. When she finished, Rika was surprised. "Okay, now just lie down and rest," Shizuka said to her friend, who followed what Shizuka told her only to see her leave the room. So, from another dimension, it's interesting, Rika thought to herself lying on the couch. Uzumaki Naruto, you are a very interesting boy, and luckily for you. I like that, Rika thought, and then closed her eyes and tried to rest a little. Naruto in a world of the living dead. Be careful with that character speaking. What will be for breakfast, character thinking? Hey, are you hearing me? Character speaking mentally. That must have hurt my note or opinion. Rasengan Jutsu o Technica. Chapter 3: A New Safe Zone. It had been 2 days since Naruto had saved Shizuka's friend, and since both Mikoto and Konan explained their abilities to them, it should be said that Naruto explained more in depth about his transformation and some of his abilities, among which he mentioned the clones that he had used to save several students from the academy. He also told them about his best jutsu, which was the Rasengan. Iori was very excited by this since it really sounded like a shonen anime of which he was a fan. After that, Naruto used a little chakra to heal Rika's wound. It was currently afternoon, almost dusk, and Siko was preparing lunch with the help of Naomi and Rei. The others were getting their things ready in case something happened, others were checking the food supplies and putting them in bags or suitcases, while Takashi, Komuro, Hayashi, and Ryu were watching the news. Naruto was resting a bit on the couch, but seeing the boys staring intently at the television, he went to join them. "What's up, guys?" Naruto asked, drawing the attention of those watching TV. "It seems that on the bridge there is a large revolt of many people against the officers who closed the bridge for safety," said Ryu seriously. "That's dangerous because if you're out there and making a lot of noise, the zombies might attack you," said Takashi, which made Naruto serious. "How many people are there?" asked Naruto. "Between 100 and 200 people," said Takashi seriously. "I see, I'll come in a moment, I'll leave a clone just in case," said Naruto as Rika and Mikoto were arriving at the room. "What's wrong?" Mikoto asked. "I'll go out and make the people on the bridge go and take cover, or else the zombies might attack them if they're making too much noise," said Naruto seriously. "Let me accompany you. Apparently there are many people, and while you convince them I will make sure that none of those things happen," said Mikoto, to which the boys admitted that it was a good idea. "Let me go with you too. After all, I am a government official and I can get the officials to lend me a radio to see if I can get them to open the bridge or send more doctors to check the people trying to cross," said Rika, to which the boys also saw that she had a good point in her favor. "Okay, let's go," said Naruto, then made a cross with his fingers and 2 clones appeared next to him. "One of you will stay and the other will come with me," said the original, to which the clones nodded, and one of them stayed in the living room while the other walked following Naruto. As they left the house, Naruto turned to look at the women just like his clone. "Put your hands on my neck and my clones and hold on to leave," said Naruto to the 2 women, who blushed a little but nodded and did what Naruto told them. This once Naruto had activated his Ashura mode. When the 2 women held each other, Naruto took flight along with his clone towards the bridge. It didn't take long to arrive. When the clone arrived along with Mikoto, they landed a few meters behind the crowd, where about 2 blocks away the zombies were approaching from all directions. "Let's protect these people until the original manages to convince them," said the clone, to which Mikoto nodded and began to take out kunais and then also create clones to then launch themselves against the zombies. The clone also did the same as Mikoto, but this one was also in charge of protecting Mikoto. On the other hand, the original Naruto along with Rika had arrived at the front of the crowd, right where the officers were, this before the attentive gaze of the people who saw him fly down. "Rikishin, go see if you can do something with the officers. I'll go try to calm the civilians," said Naruto, to which Rika nodded and ran towards the officers. On the other hand, Naruto approached the crowd of people, more specifically to where a policeman was trying to calm a man dressed as a worker. "This is the fault of the government, and its biological weapons. They caused all of this. Everyone who works for the government is responsible for this," said the man, to which many supported him. "You be quiet," Naruto said, arriving where the officer and the man were. causing many murmurs about how he was the boy who would save them all. Don't be fooled by this boy, he's surely a government experiment, and they're only using him to protect themselves. You saw him save the woman who was a soldier, even though he could have arrived earlier and saved more people, said the man, to which many supported him again. Naruto got upset when he heard the man say that he was just a weapon. Listen to me carefully, idiot, said Naruto with a serious voice. The only thing you're doing here is putting all these people in danger. Those things were still making noise, and what do you think you're all doing here, said Naruto seriously, causing everyone to shut up now. Tell me, what do you do? Asked Naruto to the man. In a construction company, the man answered. Is it from the government, or from a foreign company? Naruto asked again, confusing the man, but the officer understood what Naruto was up to. It's government, the man answered. Then you are also guilty of this. As you said, everyone who works for the government is responsible for this. Then everyone here present who works for the government is responsible for this, answered Naruto, making many reconsider if they were doing right by making that mob keep in mind that it could also be an attack from outside. Meaning from another country or from those who are against the government, said Naruto, causing the man to get upset when he saw that he could not create his revolt to pass using those in the brawl to pass. Naruto, after saying that, took the man by the collar of his jacket and brought him closer to him. Also, last time you tell me that I am just a weapon. I am an ordinary human. I do not work for this government or any other, said Naruto as he rose into the air. Now look, I came here to defend you along with some friends. You put these people in danger, and if it weren't for me and my companions you would have been attacked, said Naruto after turning around the man. Those in the brawl, upon hearing Naruto's words, they came out of their surprise and turned around only to see another boy like Naruto and a woman killing several of those things. At that time they understood that they had put themselves in danger by following the man Naruto was holding. Then they turned their gaze to Naruto and saw how he was decent with the man, and then let go of him and turned towards the officer. Excuse me for being rude. How can I help? Asked Naruto, leaving his Asura form so as not to waste the chakra that the Bijus left them. The officer, who was also surprised along with several others to see Naruto fly, the officer reacted. Well, seeing your skills, you could help defend these people from the zombies. Or help get people out of the more distant streets so they can get closer and check them so they can pass, said the officer. But at that moment the worker took out a knife, which no one noticed except for Naruto, who, due to his heightened senses, managed to hear him take it out. Damn freak die, said the man attacking Naruto, scaring the crowd. The officer was going to draw his weapon to defend Naruto. For his part, Naruto, hearing what the man said, got upset and instantly entered Sennin mode, since he had begun to gather energy when he turned to face the officer. The worker stabbed Naruto in his back, but to his surprise his knife broke upon impact with Naruto's skin. Then he saw Naruto turn to look at him, and everyone noticed that now Naruto's eyes were golden with a toad pupil and an orange pigment surrounding his eyelids. People like you only think about surviving at any cost. You know now, I understand what you were going to do. You were going to use these people to create a revolt against these officers and thus take advantage of the situation to cross the bridge, said Naruto, causing the man to back away nervously, and the mob to look at him in a bad way. Officer, are you taking charge or shall I? Asked Naruto to the officer, who had his weapon unsheathed and pointing it at the man's head. I'll do it, said the officer, and then shot the man in the head, killing him, generating terror in the people, but also relief knowing that now they would not be used as bait. I hope and understand that people who only think about their survival using the lives of others to achieve their goals do not deserve to live. Remember that we are all human beings, and in the face of any difficulty we must support each other, said Naruto, causing people to seriously analyze his words, seeing that the boy was right. Naruto-kun, shouted Rika's voice, reaching Naruto. What's wrong? Naruto asked as Rika arrived with Naruto. I have good news. They will send more doctors so that people can be checked faster and people can get through faster, said Rika, making many people happy. That's good. Finally someone managed to get them to send us more doctors. We have tried to get them to send more doctors for more than 2 days, but they did not respond to us, said the officer with gratitude. Well, I'm a high-ranking government official, so I just called in some favors, Rika said, downplaying it. Okay, it's time for you to go back with the others. My clone will take you. I will help Makoto-kan clear these streets of zombies, said Naruto, creating a clone. Okay, but be careful, Naruto-kun, said Rika, to which Naruto nodded, and his clone took the Ashura transformation and took Rika flying. Okay, see you later and follow the orders of the authorities. After all, they are there to help you, but they can't do it if you don't keep orders, said Naruto, and then took a big jump to the top of the bridge and then went to where his other clone and Makoto were. Naruto saw how Makoto and her clone were being outnumbered and couldn't use fire jutsus because when they filled the truck with gasoline, he saw that the gasoline exploded if it was set on fire. Well, only if it was in large quantities. Makoto-kan, back off, I'll take care of this, said Naruto, landing in the middle of all the zombies. Makoto looked at him strangely until she noticed that Naruto had 2 raisin shuriken in his hands. Quickly the clone took Makoto and began to fly. Naruto then threw the raisin shuriken in the 2 directions where the zombies came from. The raisin shuriken only passed by cutting off the heads of the zombies. Both attacks advanced, killing many of those things until after about 60 meters both attacks exploded in a dome of white energy, annihilating several more zombies. Seeing that the streets were already clear, he smiled and then flew back towards the shelter, being followed by his clone who was carrying Makoto. All this was again recorded by a news camera. Once Naruto and his clone with Makoto arrived at the shelter, the clone disappeared after leaving Makoto on the floor. Then Naruto deactivated his Ashura signature, and they entered the house. Upon entering, they noticed everyone walking towards the kitchen. Oh, how good that you're here. Rika-san arrived a few moments ago, and it seemed strange that she didn't come with you, but we knew you would be fine. Right now we're going to have dinner in case you want to join us, said Shin calmly, to which Naruto and Makoto nodded. After dinner, everyone went to their rooms to rest with Takashi on guard. The next day everyone got up, had breakfast together, the girls took a bath together, and the boys made a round to see if any zombie had entered the yard of the house. This while others checked their supplies of both ammunition and food. This isn't good, said Iori, who had checked the food supplies with Naruto, Takashi, Shin and Ryu. The food we have left will only last for a couple more days if we're lucky, said Ryu, looking at the provisions. The canned goods will soon expire too, said Takashi. But we could go to the convenience store again and get food, said Shin this time. But it may be in worse condition than this one, or it may already be expired. Besides, who assures us that there is still food left? There are many survivors still scattered around the city, and some may have arrived at the store and taken everything, said Naruto, something that the boys had to agree with. What shall we do then? Asked Shin. We'll have to look for a new supply location or a new shelter big enough to start planting our own food, Naruto said seriously, leaving everyone silent for a moment. If we look for another supply place, we would survive for a while longer. But the point is to find a place that has food. As you said before, the other survivors may have already taken everything, but looking for another shelter where we can harvest our food will be difficult, even more so in this city, and it would also take time. Although in the long term it would be beneficial since we would not lack food, said Takashi after the silence that formed. Then our best option is to look for a new shelter, said Ryu. Also, we have to look for our families as we had originally planned when we left school, said Shin this time. You're right. Where do their families live? Takashi asked. Most of us live on the other side of the bridge, but Tatsumi, Toka and Misato are the only ones with family on this side of the bridge, said Ryu, which made Naruto nod. Then in the afternoon, after eating, we'll tell the others the plan and see how many agree. In the meantime, go start packing your things in case you decide to look for a new shelter, said Naruto, to which everyone nodded and went to do what was indicated. When the boys left, Naruto went out to the patio and jumped onto the roof of the house, looking at the horizon while the wind ruffled his hair a little. He took a deep breath and then let it out. What's up, puppy? A very familiar voice sounded in Naruto's head, which left him intrigued and somewhat happy, so he entered his mental landscape. Upon entering, he saw how Kurama was awake and the other Bijus were just waking up. "Guys, I'm glad to see you're okay," said Naruto with a happy smile. "We are also glad to see you, Naruto-kan. By the way, thanks for the scenery," said Matatabi looking at Naruto. "By the way, weren't they supposed to take longer to wake up?" "It's only been 4 days since they fell asleep," said Naruto, intrigued. "Yes, but while we were sleeping we felt like our chakra sometimes returned faster. My theory is that when you use Ashura mode in this world, your body is constantly collecting natural chakra and somehow the excess chakra comes to us, filling our reserves faster. I think this is because you are the only one who can use senjutsu here, but as I said, it's just a theory," explained Gyuki. "But it's the closest thing to a possibility since we are masses of chakra," said Koko. "You are not masses of chakra, you are my friends the 9 Bijus," said Naruto, managing to get some smiles from the Bijus. "Thanks, boy. Now tell us everything that happened in this world since we fell asleep," said Sun, to which Naruto nodded and began to explain everything that had happened in the absence of the Bijus. "I see, so all that happened," said Kurama. "But the most worrying thing is that we need to get food quickly or a new shelter since we only have food for 2 days," said Naruto in a worried manner. "Boy, if you manage to find a bigger shelter you can make food not be a problem," said Chomei, which caught Naruto's attention. "What do you mean?" Naruto asked. "You'll see what I mean is," said Chomei, and then told him what she wanted to tell Naruto. Naruto, after his talk with the Bijus, left his mental landscape, but not before saying goodbye to them. When he left he saw that it was already late, and came down from the roof. When he entered the house he saw some girls serving food, so he went to talk to the others so they would go eat. After they ate, Naruto gathered everyone in the living room and told them about his situation and the 2 options they had. "So we'll either have to look for a new food supply area, which will be almost impossible, or look for a new bigger shelter to start harvesting our own food?" Himari asked, to which Naruto nodded. "I think the second option is the one that gives us the best chance of getting food," Rika said. "You're right, even if it's a long term we won't lack food," said Siko calmly. "But according to Naruto, we only have food for 2 days and the crops would take a long time to grow. How will we survive in the meantime?" asked Tatsumi. "Once we find a bigger shelter, using my ability I could take some with me to the sea to catch some fish. That way we could survive while the crops grow," said Naruto, getting a nod from everyone at the idea. "So I think we're all in agreement on finding a new shelter to start harvesting, right?" Conan asked, to which everyone nodded. "Okay, then start preparing your things to leave. We will leave tomorrow morning. We will also look for your relatives before looking for the shelter," said Naruto, to which everyone nodded and went to prepare their things. That same day at night, after dinner, everyone was getting ready to sleep. The girls and some of the boys were already asleep. Only those who were awake were Takashi, Hirano, and Naruto. They were talking about where it would be good to go to look for a new shelter. At that moment the 3 heard a dog barking. They quickly went out to the terrace and saw several zombies on the street in front of the house. "This is bad, if they somehow manage to get in," said Takashi in a serious tone. "Look over there," said Hirano, pointing to a house a little far away where the lights outside were on. "What's up?" asked Siko, arriving at the terrace as well. "Oh, hi, I thought you were asleep. It seems several zombies started to arrive here," said Naruto, and then Siko took some binoculars to look at some more distant streets. When she finished observing, she went inside and turned off the light. "We'd better keep the lights off. Living people will go straight to where the lights are on. Plus our resources barely allow us to support ourselves. We can't take more people with us. Plus we still have to go get everyone's relatives, and I don't think there's going to be much space to transport everyone on the bus," said Siko seriously, which Naruto had to accept reluctantly. "I know it's hard, but it's the truth." "I'll make some coffee," said Siko, and then left the room. "She's right. Look," said Hirano, only for Naruto and Takashi to watch as in several houses that had the outside light on, several people began to arrive and knock on the doors, but no one opened them and the zombies devoured them. But as they looked past, they saw a man and a girl running towards a house that had the lights on. Sikakan is definitely right, said Naruto with a darkened look upon seeing the man and the girl. His words caught the attention of Takashi and Hirano. But I can't let a father and his daughter die. If I do, I wouldn't be able to call myself human anymore, said Naruto, and then jumped from the balcony to the roof of the house across the street. Hirano, said Takashi with a half-smile. Cover me. I'll go out on the motorcycle, said Takashi, to which Hirano just smiled and already had a rifle in his hand. With the man and his daughter. The man entered the patio of the house and closed the metal bars that the house had, then walked to the door and began to knock hurriedly. Please open for us, we are tired and I have my daughter with me. Please open, said the man, but no one answered on the other side, so he knocked more insistently and was going to speak again, but a voice from inside answered him. Go away, go somewhere else, said the voice of what seemed to be a man from inside the house. Please, at least let my daughter in, please, said the man in a hurry. We already told him to go somewhere else, said the man inside fearfully. If you don't open, I'll break the door, said the girl's father. Okay, just give me a few moments, said the voice from inside, causing joy in the father. When the door opened, the father's face changed to a shocked one when he felt a hot liquid come out of his stomach. When he looked down, he saw that he had a knife buried in his stomach from which a lot of blood began to flow. In the house where Takashi and the other groups were. Takashi went to wake everyone up and told them to get ready to leave, then went down the stairs and ran into Siko in the kitchen, who was only wearing black panties and an apron. What's wrong? Siko asked, watching Takashi quickly walk down the stairs. We realize that we have not lost our humanity, said Takashi with a slight smile as he walked quickly towards the door and then took the keys and left. When leaving, Takashi used a couple of blocks and a board to create an improvised ramp at the entrance of the gate. Then Siko and Ryu came out. All ready, said Ryu. Okay, open the door for me. We have to hurry, said Takashi, intriguing both. But seeing his look, they didn't ask since they saw a look of determination and hope. When Takashi turned on the motorcycle, he accelerated to the bottom and the boys opened the door, to which Takashi flew down the ramp with the motorcycle. The wheels hit several zombies, and when he fell to the ground, Takashi accelerated in the direction of where the house was, where the father and the girl entered asking for help. Hirano, what happened? Takagi asked as he reached the balcony, only to see Hirano and Tatsumi firing a pair of rifles. We have realized that we are still human, said Hirano, shooting at the zombies that were in Takashi's path while Tatsumi shot at those who approached the bars of the house where the father and his daughter were. Everything ready, the weapons are stored except for a couple that we will use to clear the entrance, said Shin, loading a 45mm. Okay, you guys get off, try to clear the bus so we can leave. Also load your stuff into the Humvee and take it out so we can leave, said Tatsumi, to which the others nodded and began to take out their stuff. In the yard were already Rika and the other boys with an already changed Shizuka, who, if it weren't for the girls who slept in the same room as her, would have gone out naked to the yard of the house, letting everyone see her like that. Load the Humvee, I'll drive it, said Rika, to which everyone nodded and began to put the things in the trunk of the Humvee. While Rika checked that everything was okay, after checking it she turned it on. Hirano, Tatsumi, get down now, we're leaving, said Siko as both boys stopped shooting and started to get down. We'll clear the way to the bus, said Mikoto, only for her and Conan to start running against the zombies that surrounded the bus and started killing them. With Naruto moments before. Naruto heard several loud noises. He turned his gaze towards the balcony and saw Hirano with that firearm, as he called him, aiming and pulling a kind of trigger. Naruto only saw how a glow of fire came out of the tip, and thanks to his training he managed to perceive something passing at great speed. When he saw where the object hit, he saw a zombie with a hole in its head, only for it to fall dead. Those things seem to be some kind of weapon that launches small projectiles at high speed, said Isabu from inside. You can probably see them and dodge them in your Sage mode or your Bijou mode, but those things are still useful since they can kill at long range and don't need many projectiles, said Kurama to Naruto, who just nodded. You're right, but apparently those projectiles are limited from what they told me, Naruto answered. Well, leave that for later. Now focus on the father and his daughter, said Matatabi, only for Naruto to turn around and get angry when he saw an improvised spear stabbing the father's stomach right in front of the girl's eyes. How dare they? Naruto said angrily. Puppy, calm down, the important thing is to go and help him. You can still save him, said Kurama, although his voice showed anger. You're right. I won't let a girl be left without a father, said Naruto as he saw how the door closed again, leaving the father bleeding, who fell to the floor. At that moment Naruto jumped to the floor and was right next to the girl. The man just looked at him weakly. Please take care of my daughter, said the man weakly, looking at Naruto. Anasan, will my father be okay? The girl asked with tears in her eyes. I won't let you die, Naruto whispered, but the father could hear him. At that moment Naruto accessed his Ashura mode and placed his hand with the sun symbol on the father's stomach and began to emanate chakra. The father and the girl had been surprised by Naruto's transformation, but what prevented them from distrusting him was the warm aura he gave off. Without any of them noticing, a zombie arrived behind Naruto. Naruto shouted, Kakashi entering with the motorcycle through the metal bars, only to run over the zombie that was behind Naruto and the girl. Naruto, we have to get out of here, said Kakashi, getting up from the ground and going to attack the zombies that entered through the entrance bars. But there were quite a few entering, which was causing problems for Kakashi to kill the zombies since a few seconds ago the gunshots stopped ringing. Naruto, we have to hurry, said Kakashi, crushing the head of another zombie with a metal bar that he found on the ground in the courtyard where they were. I'm done, now let's get out of here. Carry the girl, said Naruto, to which Kakashi did what Naruto told him and put the girl on his back. But the girl had a dog with her. Kakashi smiled, seeing that at least the girl would have a companion with which to divert her attention from the gunshots and the zombies. Naruto, on the other hand, carried the girl's father on his back. When they turned around they saw how several zombies entered, but suddenly the bullets started again, killing some of the zombies that managed to enter. The only thing they heard was an engine before seeing how a car took out all the zombies that obstructed the way. Then they saw how the bus parked in front. Let's go, we're all on board, said Siko from the door of the bus, only for Naruto and Kakashi to get in while being covered by those who were on the bus. When they both got on both the Humvee and the bus took off again. Upon entering, Naruto left the father in a seat. How are you? Mikoto asked Naruto. He'll recover. His wound is completely healed. He just needs to rest since he'll be weak because he lost a lot of blood, but not enough to be in danger, said Naruto, to which Mikoto nodded and then offered Naruto a radio. Here, they told me to give it to you once you got up, said Mikoto, offering the radio, which Naruto took it only for Rika's voice to be heard through the speaker. How are you back there? Rika asked through the radio. Well, both the father and the girl are fine. They are safe, said Naruto with a half smile. That's good, but where will we go now? Asked Rika. Go 2 more blocks. We need to know the address of the parents of the kids who live on this side of the bridge to go pick them up, said Naruto, only to hear understood over the radio. Then Naruto laid his eyes on 3 kids in the group. Takakan, Tatsumi-san, Masada-kan, could you give us your addresses so we can go pick up your families? Naruto asked gently, to which the 3 nodded and told Naruto their addresses, which he told to Rika and Shizuka so the 2 women could head to said addresses. After 15 minutes of driving they arrived at the first house, which was Tatsumi's. But unfortunately there were several zombies around the house and the doors were open. Tatsumi just closed his eyes with some tears coming out, and clenched his fists in helplessness. Calm down. They probably went to a safe zone since they knew it was the same thing you would do. Umi tried to comfort, which seemed to work. You're right, thank you, said Tatsumi, and then the group left in the next direction. But unfortunately the same thing happened in the other directions. What now? Rika asked through the radio. Let's go to the river. "We'll cross to the other side through there," said Naruto, to which the two drivers nodded and began to move. It took them approximately 1 hour to arrive since there were hordes of zombies that couldn't cross, so they surrounded them. When Naruto arrived, he saw that there was no checkpoint on the bridge or anything like that. This seemed strange to him. "We arrived. This is the river that joins the other two, since the city is divided by 3 rivers. On that side is where the other boys' houses are, according to Takagi, Rei, and Iori," said Rika, clarifying Naruto's doubt. "Okay, let's cross then," said Naruto, watching as the sun began to rise. "Not to be pessimistic, but I don't think the bus has enough traction or engine power to cross," said Shin, making Naruto think. "There's no problem with the Humvee. It's made for these cases," said Rika, who had heard what Shin said on the radio. "Well, I guess I can take care of that," said Naruto, intriguing everyone. "How will you do it?" asked Takashi. "An ability of mine that I possess thanks to some friends," said Naruto, touching his stomach, which made Mikoto and Konan understand what he meant. After saying that, Naruto got off the bus and stood a few meters from it. "Rikishin, cross with the Humvee. We will reach you instantly," said Naruto, which surprised the aforementioned, but she still nodded at the words and accelerated to cross the river. "Kurama, I know you just woke up, but I need you to help me with this," said Naruto to his friend. "Don't worry, my brothers and I will help you with whatever," said Kurama with a big smile. "Thanks, fine, let's do it," said Naruto, and then wrapped himself in a layer of golden chakra and then was surrounded by more golden chakra, which began to take the form of a giant fox. "What the hell is that?" Iori asked with excitement, intrigue, and a bit of fear. "It's one of Naruto-kun's abilities. He has that ability thanks to his friend inside him," said Mikoto, causing even more intrigue in the boys. But before they asked, they felt a great jolt. When they looked out the window, they saw how they were being transported to the other side of the river by a giant golden hand. Once they were on the other side, the hand left them on the ground and then began to disappear. When it disappeared completely along with the giant fox, Naruto got back on the bus. "Okay, now where to?" asked Naruto, to which the boys decided to ask him later about that ability. The first thing was to find the relatives and a new shelter. After everyone gave their addresses, Naruto passed them to Rika, who had also been surprised by Naruto's new ability but also decided to ask later. They went house to house, but in all of them it was the same: the doors open and the entire house and the yard surrounded by zombies. This caused a great disappointment in the boys. The only house that was missing to check were those of Takashi, Rei, and Takagi. Of which Takagi's was the closest. They took the road towards Takagi's house with the Humvee, the one that went ahead, and the bus behind it. "Naruto-san, what was that you used to cross the bus?" Iori asked, drawing the attention of everyone present, even those in the Humvee. Only Mikoto and Konan remained looking outside since they didn't know what it was. "Oh, well, it's complicated to explain," said Naruto, touching his stomach. "You see, I have a very powerful being sealed inside me. This being attacked my village the day I was born, and my father, being the leader of the village, had to seal it inside me as a last resort to save the village. At first he and I didn't get along. One day we even fought, but I kicked his ass," said Naruto, this last bit laughing amusedly. "You received help, that's why you beat me," said Kurama inside Naruto in an annoyed tone. "My mother helped me, but there was only my body in front of you. Gyuki helped me at the beginning, absorbing a couple of techniques that would have really hurt me, but I took care of the rest by myself, so admit it, I kicked your ass," said Naruto in a mocking tone. "The boy is right, Kurama. He beat you in a one-on-one fight," said Gyuki, to which Kurama just turned his head to the side with a little annoyance. He knew that what they said was true, but he would not admit that they beat him in a one-on-one fight. "After a few hours, after a few days of our fight, we became friends by having a common enemy, and after that moment we became friends. Now that giant golden form, I could say that it is my friend who can only manifest in that way, since his real body is inside me. Only his energy can come out and take its form," said Naruto, which surprised many. "So, your friend is sealed in you and he helps you when you're in trouble by manifesting like that?" asked Takashi. "Something like that. I need to let him know and see if he can help me since, although he has infinite energy, there is a limit to what he can use continuously, said Naruto. Wow, someday, if you manage to get him out of the seal, I would like to meet him, said Iori. It will be difficult, but maybe, one day, said Naruto, seeing Konan and Mikoto who were looking out the windows. Why do you say it will be difficult? Asked Ryu. The seal that imprisons him is very strong, and if I don't remove the seal correctly and he accidentally frees himself, he would die, since it could be said that my life is linked to him, said Naruto, impressing several. They were going to continue talking until they heard Rika's voice on the radio. We have zombies in front, said Rika, which alerted everyone. Naruto instantly ran to the front of the bus. Turn right, Takagi said quickly over the radio, both vehicles turning onto a street to the right. There are some around here too, Naomi said through the radio. Then now turn left, said Takagi, to which everyone did and turned left onto a street. Naruto instantly opened a window and climbed onto the roof of the bus, then jumped towards the Humvee. In front of him, about 60 meters away, they saw a large wave of zombies. Rika accelerated more, but Naruto managed to see a wire barricade. Stop now, Naruto shouted, reinforcing his voice with chakra, which was enough for both drivers to hear him, and they instantly braked, taking different directions and taking out several zombies in front of them. They barely managed to stop when they were a few centimeters from the barricade. Ugh, almost said Shin, looking through the bus window at the wires. I'm sorry to ruin your celebration of not having crashed, but one of the Humvee's tires got stuck by some zombie parts and bodies, so I won't be of any help, and the bus won't be able to leave since it doesn't have enough power to run over all those zombies and keep moving forward, said Rika on the radio. In that case, there's only one thing left to do. Rikishin, Shizuka-kun, you and most of the boys cross the barricade. Hirano and I will give you some time, said Naruto, only to receive a nod from the two women. I'll help you too, said Takashi, to which Naruto just smiled. Mikoto-kan, Konanshin, I asked you to protect the boys if any of them manage to get past us, said Naruto, to which the two girls nodded. Okay, let's go, said Naruto, and then he got off the bus while Takashi and Hirano opened the windows to shoot. Naruto walked towards the horde of zombies. Standing about 10 meters away, he wrapped both of his hands in futon chakra, which made a whitish aura appear in them. Naruto was going to rush forward until he heard a pair of footsteps positioning themselves next to him. When he turned around, he saw that it was Siko. I won't leave all the dirty work to you, said Siko, brandishing her wooden bokken. Naruto saw this and instantly created a clone which transformed into a metal katana. Here, it's a transformed clone, but it will be just as effective as a real katana, but it won't withstand many blocks. You can attack with it as many times as you want, but blocking won't withstand much, said Naruto, to which Siko nodded and took the metal katana that Naruto was giving her. And your weapon? Asked Siko, looking at Naruto with her bare hands, although a white aura came out of them. Don't worry, this will be more than enough, said Naruto, putting his hands in the shape of a sword. After those words, they both smiled before launching themselves against the zombies. Naruto, as he launched himself against the zombies, began to throw cuts towards the heads or limbs of the zombies. After all, without arms or legs you cannot move quickly or even move. Naruto gave with a downward cut which cut into the head of the zombie in front of him. Instantly he turned on himself to dodge a zombie that had launched itself, only to throw a vertical cut that cut the heads of 5 zombies. While with the other hand he nailed another zombie in the jaw. When he removed his hand, he saw that he was now surrounded. Some who were somewhat far from him fell dead because of the shots of Takashi and Hirano. Naruto, looking to his right, saw Siko kill several of them, but she was not surrounded, unlike him. Naruto then set his sights on the zombies and smiled. Time to have fun, said Naruto before starting to spin at great speed, resembling a mini tornado that advanced towards the zombies. The mini tornado, when arriving with the zombies, began to send heads flying, or the zombies themselves, but in several pieces. When it stopped spinning, there was only blood spilled everywhere. But to his bad luck, zombies were still arriving, and there were not a few. But if that was not enough, he saw another mutant zombie, only this one was not muscular but obese and threw something green to the ground which apparently attracted the zombies. "Naruto, be careful," said Takashi's voice, and then Naruto saw a zombie fall dead next to him. "Thank you," said Naruto, and then backed away like Siko until they reached the bus. "How many are left?" Siko asked, still staring at the zombies. "Only the father, the daughter, Rei, and us are missing, in addition to the girls who are helping them to cross, being Mikito-san and Konanzan. At this moment Rika-san and Shizuka-sensei are crossing," answered Hirano. "Are you guys okay?" asked a voice that seemed to be a woman. The boys instantly looked at several people dressed as firefighters and wearing gas masks. "Yes, we're fine, we're just missing a few companions," said Toka's voice. "Don't worry, we'll help you," said the same woman, and then the group of firefighters connected a hose to a water intake duct down, said the woman, and then Naruto and Siko listened, and instantly a large jet of water under pressure sent several zombies flying, including the obese one. "Come on. Hurry up," said the female firefighter, to which Takashi and Hirano nodded and got off the bus and crossed the fence. "Now you," said the woman before the scream of 5 people was heard. It was not a scream of pain, but it was more like a scream of fear. "It seems there were more survivors over there," said another of the firemen, but this one had a man's voice. "Get them out of here. I'll go rescue those survivors," Naruto said to the female firefighter, who just stared at him through her mask. But Rika said before Naruto spoke. "I promise to join you again," said Naruto, giving one of his smiles and then running towards some stairs that were somewhat far away. But what he didn't count on was Siko following him. He was going to say something, but Siko got there first. "You'll have more chance being two," said Siko, to which Naruto just nodded. Both ran for a while until they reached a house where in the yard was apparently a family of 2 men and 3 women. Apparently it was the father and the son of about 14 years old knitting 3 other women who apparently were the mother, and 2 girls of apparently 12 and 13 years old. "Sika-kan, let's go," said Naruto, to which Siko nodded, and they attacked the zombies. They quickly got rid of the zombies that threatened the family. When they turned to see the family, they saw that they were looking at them with fear and distrust. "Stay away, I won't let you hurt my family," said the man who was the father. "Don't worry, you can trust us, we won't hurt you, we just came to help. Just a little while ago our group met some people who apparently had a safe haven. We heard their screams, so we came to help them," said Naruto, to which the man relaxed a little, seeing that they weren't lying. "Do you really have a shelter?" the 14-year-old boy asked. "Yes, now let's go, we have to go before more come," said Naruto, to which the men nodded and helped stop the women. "Naruto-kun, it would be better to look for a temporary shelter to spend the night. It will be dark soon," said Siko, to which Naruto fixed his gaze on the sky and saw that the sun was already setting. "You're right, and I also think that if I use my powers these people will distrust us," said Naruto, to which Siko nodded in agreement. "You're right about that, for now we rely on our hand-to-hand combat skills," said Siko, looking at her sword that Naruto had given her only for it to disappear in a puff of smoke. "I guess the time limit expired," said Naruto as he saw the katana disappear. "I guess we're up to you now," said Siko with a wry smile. "Don't worry, I'll make you another one, but it will be when we are in a safe place, and they don't see us," said Naruto, watching as the family approached. Siko just nodded at Naruto's words with a half-smile. "We are ready," said the father. "Okay, first we'll look for a temporary shelter to spend the night, and then tomorrow morning we'll leave with our friends," said Siko, and then everyone started walking following Naruto. The small group walked for about 20 minutes before having to speed up their pace since they encountered some zombies on the way. "Naruto-kun, there are many. We must finish them off or find a place to take refuge to lose sight of them," said Siko to Naruto, who only looked back to see several zombies chasing them. Then he looked back in front and began to look for a place that could be habitable and safe to spend the night and that the zombies would not enter. After a couple of minutes, Naruto smiled sideways. "Everyone go into that building," said Naruto, pointing to what looked like a small hotel. only 4 floors and the front only had a few small windows. The group immediately ran towards the hotel, and when they all entered, Naruto closed the door. "Let's block the windows and jam the door," said Naruto, to which everyone nodded, and they were looking and moving things and furniture to cover the door and windows. Once they did, the family sat on the floor to rest. "We did it, we were able to escape," said the boy with his breathing somewhat labored. "Thank you, without you we wouldn't have survived this night," said the father. "No problem. After all, we have to help each other to survive," said Naruto with a half smile, and then gave a kunai to the man and the boy. "Stay here and rest, Sika-kan, and I will go search the place and check that it is safe. We will also look for some supplies. Use the kunai in case those things appear while we are gone," said Naruto, to which the father and the boy nodded. "By the way, what are your names?" Siko asked the family. "Sorry for not introducing ourselves before. My name is Eric. This is my wife Nagisa, and these are our children. The oldest is Yorick and the 2 twins are Elise and Kale," said the man now known as Eric. The wife was a woman of about 35 years old, with a good figure. Her hair was brown and tied in a ponytail. The boy named Yorick was a boy with an average physique, brown hair and brown eyes. The 2 girls had black hair and green eyes. Both also had a very good figure, somewhat similar to that of their mother, and also had their hair tied in a ponytail. "My name is Naruto and this is Siko. Nice to meet you," said Naruto, smiling happily. "Now rest, we'll be back soon," said Naruto, and then left with Siko to start searching the place. They first searched the ground floor and didn't find any zombies, then they went up to the first floor and then to the second, but in neither of these were there any zombies. Now they were searching the 3rd floor. They were searching the first rooms of the hallway, which had 6 rooms. Both went together, since if they were going to search one each it would be dangerous. "Apparently this one is empty too," said Siko as she and Naruto left the 2nd room in the hallway. "This is taking too long," said Naruto, heading to the 3rd room. When he arrived, he opened the door, and both boys entered. "I'll check the bathroom, you check the closet," said Siko, to which Naruto just nodded and went to check the closets. Naruto walked towards the closets, but as he approached he heard a slight noise, so he approached cautiously. He walked slowly and carefully towards the closet. From his trench coat he took out a kunai ready for whatever came. When he got to the closet he opened it only to see that it was empty. This made him relax. He stepped back and sat on the bed to wait for Siko to finish checking the bathroom. But when he looked up he saw a zombie come out from a corner. He quickly threw the kunai at the zombie, only to realize that he actually threw the kunai at a mirror. He quickly turned around, managing to catch the zombie and prevent it from biting him. Naruto struggled for a few moments, preventing the zombie from biting him, until he applied more force and ripped its neck, leaving the zombie's body to one side. "Naruto-kun, are you okay?" asked Siko, worried, since just when she finished checking the bathroom she heard Naruto's moans and ran to where he was, only to see Naruto lying in bed and a seemingly dead zombie next to Naruto. "Yes, I'm fine, it just took me by surprise," said Naruto, getting out of bed and going for his kunai. "I'm glad you're okay. I was worried when I heard you moaning. I thought something had happened to you," said Siko, approaching Naruto. "Don't worry, Sika-kan, I'm fine. You don't have to worry," said Naruto, touching Siko's cheek with his hand and giving her one of his smiles, which made Siko blush. "Well, then let's continue checking the rooms," said Siko, turning around so Naruto wouldn't notice the blush. "Okay, but I'd better send clones. I don't want what happened to me to happen to you. I don't want if we find more of those things they bite you," said Naruto, which caused a bigger blush in Siko. After those words, Naruto created 20 clones and sent them to check the rooms and the missing floors. "Boy, when will you give the girl a gun? She would be safer if she could defend herself in case of emergency," he said, and asked Gyuki. "I know I would be safer, but if I give her a clone with a Henjigen it would be very risky, since these have a time limit," said Naruto with some concern. "I see you care about her," said Shikaku in a somewhat suggestive tone. "Shikaku, leave him, and you Naruto, remember that our father gave you the Onmyoton element, with which you can create anything out of nothing. Why don't you create a katana with that?" Kurama said and asked Naruto. "I do remember. But that's not how to do it, Naruto replied, causing Kurama to sigh. Just imagine what you want to create and accumulate yin-yang chakra. That's all you have to do. Remember how you applied the futon chakra to the Rasengan. That will help you join those two chakras. You can do it, said Kurama, to which Naruto smiled sideways. Thanks guys, well I'll try, said Naruto, and then began to imagine a katana. For her part, Siko just looked somewhat intrigued at Naruto since he had closed his eyes and remained that way for a few minutes. Then when she was going to speak to get his attention, she saw how Naruto's hands were positioned in a pose of taking a sword. This intrigued her more. But before being able to articulate a word, she saw how a katana began to form out of nowhere. She could not believe what she saw. Naruto was literally creating a katana out of nothing. The process lasted only about 5 minutes, and after that Naruto opened his eyes. It seems I was able to do it the first time, said Naruto, breathing heavily. At these words, Siko reacted. Naruto-kun, how did you do that? Siko asked, intrigued. Well, it's one of my special abilities. With the help of a special element that only I possess, I can create out of nothing anything I imagine, but it's very difficult for me since I've never done it before. In fact, this is the first thing I create with that element, said Naruto, surprising Siko. But she saw how Naruto extended the katana to her here. It's yours, said Naruto, to which Siko took it happily, since it could be said that Naruto created a katana for her with an ability that she used for the first time. Thank you, said Siko, happily seeing the katana with the sheath. Then she unsheathed it, seeing the shine of the blade, and could notice at first glance that it was quite sharp. When she finished observing it, she sheathed it again and put it on her hip. I see you like me, said Naruto. Yes, it's beautiful, said Siko, looking at the katana on her waist. I'm glad. Well, let's go with the family. My clones already searched and took care of the zombies that were in the remaining rooms, said Naruto, to which Siko nodded with a slight smile. But as she took a step, Siko tripped over the leg of the bed, which caused her to fall on Naruto. Both were on the floor with their eyes wide open and a slight blush. The reason for this, well, is because when Siko fell to the floor next to Naruto, they both accidentally kissed. They were like that for a couple of seconds and then quickly separated. I'm sorry, said Siko, blushing. Don't worry, the important thing is that you're okay, said a slightly embarrassed Naruto. We better go back to the family, said Siko a little nervously, and then quickly stood up and started to leave the room. Yes, let's go, said Naruto, following Siko. Both went down to the ground floor of the hotel. When going down, they arrived with the family, which was sitting in a couple of armchairs that they had not used to cover the entrance. So? Eric asked the pair of young people. All free. There were some zombies on the upper floors, but we already took care of them. The hotel is clean. Just close the windows and try to sleep together, said Naruto, to which the family nodded. Thanks, but if you want I could stand guard at night. I mean, you guys must be exhausted from fighting those things, said Eric, to which Naruto denied. Don't worry, I'll take the first watch. If you want you can take the second, since it seems that your children need the company of you two to sleep well, said Naruto, which made Eric look at his children, who had fear reflected in their eyes. If you're hungry, there's some canned food in the kitchen. It's not much, but it'll help you calm your hunger at least for tonight, said Siko to Nagisa and the boys. And you won't eat? Nagisa asked. Don't worry, we'll be fine. Besides, our priority is them. After all, we can't let something happen to them since they are the future of our race, said Siko with a slight smile. Come follow me, I'll take you to where the food is, said Siko, and then started walking, being followed by Nagisa, Yorick, Kale and Elise. Once again, thank you for helping us. We wouldn't know what we would have done if you hadn't arrived, said Eric, standing in front of Naruto. Don't worry, there's no need to thank them. Besides, the most important thing right now is to save as many people as possible. The future of humans depends on that and on the children and young people, said Naruto with a half smile. It's true, that's why if something happens, I want to ask you to save my children and my wife. After all, they are more valuable for the future than us men, said Eric, to which Naruto denied. We are all equally valuable, and although women and young people or children are important since they have a greater chance of giving birth to more children, that does not take away the fact that we are all important. For example, a pregnant woman or a child cannot fight against those things or carry something heavy like a weapon or even use it. That is why in these times both men, women and children are important, said Naruto seriously, which surprised Eric as he did not expect those words. I think you're right, thanks. Well, I think I'll go with my family and then go rest. We'll be in the first rooms on the first floor, said Eric, to which Naruto nodded. Okay, let them rest, said Naruto, and then Eric went to the kitchen while Siko returned to be next to Naruto. I'll help you stand guard, said Siko, sitting on one of the sofas in the hall. Okay, but tell me, have you eaten anything today? Naruto asked, to which Siko denied. No, after all we had to leave quickly, so I haven't eaten anything, just like you said, Siko, only for both of them to growl in their stomachs. Well, I think I'll try and see if this works, said Naruto, closing his eyes and holding out his hands as if he was holding something. Seconds passed and from Naruto's hand a whitish aura began to emerge, and then in his hand 4 apples began to appear. After a full minute there were 4 apples in Naruto's hand, who was breathing heavily. Wow, it's hard to do this, said Naruto haltingly, and then offering Siko 2 apples. Here, at least eat this. I don't know if they taste the same, but I'm sure you can eat them, said Naruto as Siko took the fruit. I was actually surprised to see that you can also create food, but if it's so tiring you should stop doing it, said Siko before taking a bite of her apple. It tastes better than a normal apple, said Siko sincerely. Seriously, I'm glad to hear it, and regarding whether it's so tiring, the truth is that it only tires you out until you manage to master it. That's why I must continue using it. The more I use it, the easier it will be for me to use it, and in turn I will get less tired, said Naruto, and then began to eat his apple. I see, it's like any training or sport. The more you practice it, the more experience you will gain, and in turn you will get less tired, said Siko, to which Naruto nodded. It's like you say, and now that I know I can create food, I must try harder to master it. This way, I can sustain the food supply in this new shelter, said Naruto. I really don't think you should do that, since the people in that shelter will start to depend on you to feed them and won't let you rest, said Siko seriously. I know, but I can still do it secretly or when we go out to pick up supplies, said Naruto, to which Siko had to agree with him. Both after those words continued talking. The hours passed until 2 a.m. arrived. At that moment Eric and Nagisa changed guards to Siko and Naruto, who went to a room on the first floor as well. Naruto-kun, can I sleep with you in the same bed for today? Siko asked, blushing slightly. Of course, I don't see why not, said Naruto, so that both entered a room and lay down on the same bed. But Siko, when lying down, hugged Naruto and put her head on his chest. Naruto did nothing to avoid this since he saw that Siko really needed to be like that, so he left her and closed his eyes like Siko, and both fell asleep. Chapter 4: Helping in the New Safe Sans. The morning came to one part of the world and the night to the other part of the world, a world that was slowly heading towards its destruction, metaphorically speaking, as each race from humans to animals were becoming extinct, or well, they were dying to become zombies, and no one could do anything to prevent it because they still did not have the cure, or so many believed, since in reality in the United States a secret corporation called Umbrella had managed to develop the cure for this disease. A disease that they themselves created and called the T-virus. In New York City it was nighttime and the street lights were mostly off. However, that did not mean that there was no visibility, as several destroyed cars that were still slightly on fire provided the necessary light to see the road, because on one of the streets of this city you could hear the engine of a motorcycle on which a blond man was riding. The name of this subject was Leon Scott Kennedy. Leon had received reports that there was a group of survivors trapped in the old police headquarters, and his mission was to go rescue them and take them to a safe area. Leon was currently 2 blocks from the police station, so he decided to leave his motorcycle because he knew that the sound of the engine had attracted many zombies. But it was a risk he had to take to get to the survivors quickly. After leaving his motorcycle, he hid it to prevent it from being stolen by some bandit who, as the world was, there were now plenty of them. Once he left the motorcycle, he drew his weapon, a 45mm with a silencer and a flashlight. Leon began to walk somewhat hurriedly but as stealthily as possible because he had to avoid making noises that would attract the zombies. To his luck and curiosity, the streets seemed to be empty of zombies, but still did not lower his guard. After 10 minutes he arrived at the police station. Upon arrival he saw that the door was blocked by several items, from shelves to flower pots. By his own logic he knew that he could not enter through there, so he went to the back, and luckily he only turned the knob and managed to open the door. Once he entered, he walked cautiously. He walked until he reached the waiting room that led to the main door. With his sight he examined his surroundings, but found no movement. However, what he did detect was a very familiar sound for him, the sound of a shotgun loading the cartridge. Leon, upon hearing this, slowly put away his weapon and raised his hands, and then began to turn around. When he was face to face with his threatening man, he could see that it was a young man of about 25 years old. "Who are you?" the young man asked without showing any fear. "My name is Leon. They sent me here because we received an emergency call from a group of survivors locked in here," Leon answered sincerely. "How do I know he's not lying?" the young man asked. "Would anyone else know you asked for help?" Leon asked, to which the young man seemed to relax as he analyzed the answer. "Okay, I'll believe you," said the young man, and then lowered the gun, and Leon lowered his hands. "Follow me," said the young man before starting to walk. Leon followed the boy until they reached what appeared to be a police conference room. Inside there were at least 20 people, including women, men, children, and just a couple of elderly people. "Wow, I didn't think they would be such a big group," said Leon as he looked at the survivors. "There were more of us, but in our last zone change we lost 6. Now we are the only ones left from an entire colony," said the young man. While Leon saw how many reflected lack of hope in their eyes, they continued walking until they reached the main office, where upon entering they saw a woman with blonde hair that reached her back and undoubtedly had a very good body. "Carol," the young man called to the woman who was reading some papers. But upon hearing the voice he raised his head. "Oh, Steve, what can I do for you?" "Who is he?" asked the woman known as Carol. "Our call was heard. He is Leon. He came in response to it," said the now known Steve. "Just one person?" Carol asked. "That's right. My superiors believe it will be easier since we won't be such a large group." "Oh well, more than it already is," said Leon seriously. "So how do you plan to get us out of here?" Carol asked, crossing her arms. "In the morning, I'll go out to look for a bus that will take us all. Once it arrives, we'll get on it and go to a safe area," said Leon, to which the woman only raised an eyebrow. "Are you going alone?" Carol asked. "That's right," Leon answered. "How do I know he won't leave us to our fate?" Carol asked. "Because I'm here," Leon replied with a half-smile. "Okay, as soon as you go to get the transport I'll tell the others to get ready," said Carol. "Now go rest for tomorrow," said Carol, to which they both nodded and left the office. Meanwhile in Japan. In a certain hotel in the city of Tokyo, 2 individuals woke up, a blonde man and a purple-haired woman. Both were lying in the same bed. If someone saw them they would say they make a good couple, but at this moment they were both waking up from a comfortable night. Despite the danger lurking outside, they slept comfortably as if nothing was happening. The first to wake up was the blonde, who when trying to get up felt an extra weight on his chest. When he looked down he noticed how Siko was lying on his chest. Then he heard a moan of annoyance from Siko indicating that she was waking up. When she opened her eyes, Siko noticed that she was lying on Naruto's chest. She blushed when she saw that Naruto was looking at her with a smile. "Good morning, Sikaken," said Naruto, smiling warmly, which made Siko blush. Good morning, Naruto-kun, said Siko, hiding her blush in Naruto's chest. Excuse me, Naruto-san, it's already daylight and I think it's a good time to get moving, said Eric after knocking on the room's door. Sure, we'll be down in a moment, said Naruto, only to then hear Eric's footsteps walking away. Well, I think it's time to move and go with the other kids to the safe zone, said Naruto, to which Siko nodded. So they both got out of bed and left the room to walk until they reached the ground floor where Eric and his family were already waiting for him. Are you ready to go out? Siko asked the family, who just nodded, although the girls weren't so sure. Don't worry, everything will be fine, said Naruto, smiling kindly at the girls. Now I'll go out first to check that there are no zombies. Wait here. I'll knock on the door 5 times, then I'll pause and knock another 2. That will be the signal that you can leave, said Naruto, to which the family nodded. Okay, Sika-kan, you'll stay with them, in case those things find a way to get in while I check, said Naruto, to which Siko nodded, although a little worried. We'll be ready when you say so, Eric said to Naruto, who just nodded and started walking towards the back door. When Naruto opened the back door, he got out carefully and quietly, looked both ways, and seeing everything clear, he left the hotel. As he left a clone gathering natural energy to enter Sennin mode and find Mikoto and Konan, since they were supposed to be in the safe zone now. Then he walked silently, and without making any noise, until he reached the front of the hotel. When he got to the front, he saw that there were no zombies nearby, so he proceeded to make the sign and knocked on the door. Only for a few seconds later Siko and the family to come out. Okay, let's go. We should get to the safe zone, said Naruto, and then the group nodded, and so they began to walk. After advancing about 4 blocks, Naruto disappeared his clone, thus obtaining the natural energy which helped him know where the safe zone was, where Konan and Mikoto were with the group. It won't be long. We are about 9 blocks away from arriving, said Naruto, which made the family happy. We'll be safe soon, Elise said happily. We can finally rest without fear, said Kale this time. Let's just hope those things don't appear, said Yorick this time. But they say that bad things happen when you open your mouth, and this was no exception. Kaguya Nagisa shouted as she was dragged. What's going on? Eric asked, turning quickly only to see Nagisa being dragged by her leg, which seemed to have some kind of rope or something tangled around it. Following the object with his eyes, he could see a zombie that was on a fire escape and realized that it wasn't a rope, but a tongue. Naruto-kun, shouted Siko, drawing Naruto's attention, who had also turned around to see what had happened. Siko quickly ran to help the woman. She arrived quickly, and using her new katana she cut the zombie's tongue, thus freeing Nagisa. Thank you, said Nagisa, standing up and running towards her husband. Mom, are you okay? Elise asked, to which her mother nodded and hugged her along with her other 2 children. Yes, I'm fine, children, said Nagisa. Eric, stay with your family. I'll take care of the zombie, Sake-chan. Protect them, said Naruto, to which Siko nodded and stepped back until she was in front of the family. Very well, here we go, said Naruto, then took out kunai from his back bag and threw one towards the zombie, who jumped very high, managing to reach the other building that was on the other side of the street. Damn. This one is also special, Naruto thought when he saw the zombie on another fire escape. However, Naruto had to dodge the zombie's tongue. But when he dodged it, Naruto took advantage and grabbed it, and then pulled the zombie hard, which was going straight towards Naruto. This is as far as you go, said Naruto, then stuck his kunai into the zombie's skull. After killing the zombie, Naruto returned to the group. Done. Problem solved, said Naruto, arriving with the family. We must mobilize, there must be more like that fence, said Siko, to which Naruto nodded, as did the family. Okay, let's go, said Naruto, and so the group now began to run towards the safe zone. With Mikoto and Konan in the safe zone. The group of survivors had been led to a mansion on top of a hill, which to everyone's surprise was Saya's house, and the firefighter woman turned out to be Saya's mother, which made Saya very happy. Currently Mikoto, Konan, Rei, Takashi, Hirano, Shizuka and Rika were in one of the rooms of the mansion. On the bed in the room was lying the father of the girl they saved. This while Shizuka checked his wound and made sure that everything was okay. The wound is not infected, so there is no possibility of it becoming gangrenous. However, he lost a lot of blood, not to the point that he is in danger, but I don't think he can exert himself much, since he will be weak until he recovers the lost blood. This may take weeks, but at most it would be 2 months, said Drive Shizuka, taking off some medical gloves. That's good to hear. After all, I wouldn't imagine the pain Alice would feel if she lost her father, said Hirano as he watched Alice play with Ryu, Zeke, Umi, Naomi, Himari, and Toka. At least we can give that poor girl a little hope, and even if it seems like little, I know it will mean a lot to her, said Mikoto. However, it would be good if we could at least give a little hope to all the people who survived, said Conan, looking at what could barely be seen of the camp through the window. And when she saw the people of the camp, she saw that in their eyes they showed lack of hope, fear, and sadness. Nowadays, more and more survivors keep arriving. We even had to make them camp in our yard. Soon the situation will get out of control as well, since resources will also be scarce, said Saya, entering the room since she had stayed a little outside to know what they were talking about. Does that mean we'll have to move everyone to a bigger area? Ray asked. But to move we would have to find a larger place, and make sure it has the necessary security, said Hirano. By the way, couldn't you build a place like that with your skills? Asked Rika, to which Mikoto and Conan denied. We can't build a base because we don't have the necessary elements to do so. My affinities are the Katon, which is fire, the Raiton, which is lightning, and somehow I managed to obtain 2 more affinities, which were the Futon, meaning wind, and the Doton, which is earth, said Mikoto. Mine are the Sueton, which is water, the Raiton, and the Futon. However, I was born with the ability to control paper, said Conan. However, there is someone who may be able, said Mikoto, drawing everyone's attention. Who? Rika asked. Naruto-kun, as I remember. He has the 5 elemental affinities and somehow managed to obtain 2 very strange elements, which only the one we considered a god in our dimension had. Those elements are the Yin element and the Yang element, and according to ancient records of my clan, with those elements you could unite 2 or more elements, and combine them with one of these 2 to create special secondary elements. And I say special because of the fact that even without the Yin and Yang elements you can create secondary elements. For example, the Hayaton or ice, it is created from the combination of the Futon and Sueton, explained Mikoto, which left those present surprised. Incredible, said Hirano, surprised. So you can not only master the main elements, but also secondary elements, said Takashi, to which the 2 girls nodded. Guys, shouted a voice while footsteps of someone running towards the room they were in were heard. What's wrong, Tatsumi? Ray asked, looking at the somewhat agitated boy. Naruto-san and Siko-san arrived, and they brought a family of survivors with them, said Tatsumi, only for everyone to leave the room in the direction of the main entrance. Everyone went as fast as possible without having to run, and when they reached the main courtyard they saw how Naruto and Siko arrived, being followed by a family. Guys, I'm glad you're okay, said Takashi, arriving in front of Naruto. Why did it take so long? Saya asked. Well, the truth is that we had some complications on the way, plus night fell and we preferred to rest than risk walking at night, Naruto replied, and then noticed how a man and a woman approached behind the boys. Mother, father, this is Uzumaki Naruto. He was the one who helped my friends and me to get out of school and get here safely, said Saya, seeing her parents approaching. Oh, nice to meet you, Naruto-san. My name is Soichiro Takagi and this is my wife Yuriko Takagi. I thank you for taking care of my daughter and bringing her home safely, said Saya's father. A pleasure, Naruto-san. I also thank you for taking care of my daughter, said Saya's mother. The pleasure is all mine, Mr. and Mrs. Takagi. Besides, there's no need to thank me. After all, helping someone who needs it is the right thing to do for someone who has the opportunity to do so, Naruto said, to which Soichiro nodded with a half smile. I like the way you think, kid, said Soichiro. Mr. Takagi, I would like to speak with you privately. It is something important, said Naruto, adopting a serious pose which generated intrigue and seriousness in the aforementioned. Sure, follow me. We'll go to my office, said Soichiro, and then looked at his wife. Honey, take the family to a place where they can stay, said Soichiro, to which his wife nodded and left with the family. Sika can rest in the meantime. It will take a while, so don't worry, said Naruto, to which Siko nodded. After that, Soichiro led Naruto to his office and sat behind his desk and Naruto in front of him. Well, young man, what was so important to talk so seriously and in private? Asked Soichiro. I'll get to the point, sir. Believe me or not, it's the truth, and I would like you to listen to me without interrupting. I promise to answer your questions once I'm done, said Naruto, to which Soichiro nodded with more confusion and intrigue. Okay, Soichiro said, nodding and leaning back in his chair. Okay, I'll start with the main thing. Me and the black-haired woman and the blue-haired woman with the paper flower in her hair, we are not from this dimension. We came to this dimension because of a goddess against whom we fought. But when we defeated her, she created a dimensional portal and threw us here. In our dimension, we, all humans, can use techniques with the main elements, these being water, fire, wind, earth, and lightning. We also have other much more complex abilities, but do not worry, we do not have bad intentions. On the contrary, if we can help, we will gladly do it, said Naruto, to which Soichiro looked at him seriously. Let me see if I understand. You and 2 other girls can handle the 5 elements of nature and create special techniques with them? Asked Soichiro, to which Naruto nodded. I know it sounds weird and even crazy, but it's the truth, said Naruto, to which Soichiro looked directly into Naruto's eyes while putting his elbows on the desk and clasping his hands at the height of his nose. Can you give me a proof that I can use to know that what you say is true? Asked Soichiro, to which Naruto nodded, and with a hand signal disappeared in a cloud of smoke and reappeared at the right side of the man, who was surprised by that. Proof enough. I'm sorry for not showing an elemental technique, but it's not possible in a space like this, said Naruto, to which Soichiro nodded. Don't worry, you convinced me with that, said Soichiro. Very well, as I was saying, I am willing to help, but I need you to talk to the survivors and convince them that they do not have to fear me, since we will not harm them. I say this because I can reinforce the security of this place, and believe me when I tell you that you will need it, said Naruto seriously. What do you mean I'll need it? Asked Soichiro. You see, 2 nights ago a mutated zombie attacked the airport. It had a very large arm and knocked down several columns without difficulty. Then this morning, when it was coming here, another mutant zombie attacked. However, this one could jump several meters high, and its tongue could stretch more than 15 meters, said Naruto, which surprised the man. If what you say is true, then the walls outside the house will not withstand such mutants. Okay, kid, I'll do what I can to convince them, said Soichiro, standing up. I appreciate it, sir. The truth is, the last thing I wanted was to be called a monster or something when I used my ability, said Naruto somewhat dejectedly as he remembered his childhood. Don't worry, I can assure you that at least my wife and I won't do it, said Soichiro, to which Naruto smiled. Thank you, said Naruto, and then they both shook hands and left the office. Now, let's go announce what you told me and convince those people, said Soichiro, to which Naruto nodded, and so they both left the office and headed to the courtyard where the refugee camp was. Once they arrived, they gathered the survivors, and Saya's father began to explain what Naruto told him. Are you sure about this, Naruto? Asked Shikaku. I'm sure, Naruto replied. They could use you as a weapon. That man could even pretend just to have you on his side, Chomei said this time. I trust him, and he didn't have any bad intentions. I know because thanks to you I can feel other people's emotions. I can also feel their malice, Naruto replied. Just be careful, puppy. Even so, remember that you can count on us for anything, said Kurama. Thanks, guys, I really appreciate you always supporting me, said Naruto with a cheerful smile. Well, Naruto, from now on only 1 or 2 of us will be awake per day. Only the 9 of us will be there if something serious happens and you specifically need someone, said Gyuki, to which Naruto nodded. Very well, rest guys, said Naruto, and then cut his mental link only to see how Soichiro made a sign as if pointing at him. He is the person I'm talking about. This boy is called Naruto Uzumaki, and I will ask you please not to fear him or see him as something bad, since he volunteered and went with me to talk about what I just told you, just to help you be safer, said Soichiro, and then heard many murmurs from the people. Hearing them murmur, Naruto took a step forward which caught the attention of all the survivors. This at the same time that Naruto's group left the mansion with Saya's mother. Listen, I know that many will fear my power. I also know that you will see me with fear or as a monster. I know, because in my village they treated me the same since I can remember. I was marginalized, beaten, insulted, and even humiliated. However, that did not stop me from protecting you with my life. So believe me when I tell you that I will protect you all the best I can. Although that does not mean that you have to depend on me, because like you I am also a human being, and like you I have a limit in terms of my abilities. I may also not be able to protect you all if I go on a mission to find more survivors, but I will try to do my best for you, and that is a promise from Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto finished saying with determination, sincerity, and seriousness in his words, which generated a smile in Naruto's group and joy in the survivors, and even one took a step forward of all. Boy, thanks for your words, they certainly gave us hope, and don't worry, I can speak for most of those present when I say that we wouldn't see you as a monster. After all, you're trying to help us. Besides, I recognize you. You're the boy that the news captured a few days ago, the boy who saved several people on the bridge, the one who saved the military woman and killed that mutant zombie, said the man, surprising many. It's true, I am that one, but as I said, you should not depend only on me, since like all of you I have a limit, and if I exceed it I may harm you instead of helping you. Also, just as you may need my help, I will also need yours. To survive we should not depend on others. We must work together to forge a better future for the next generation, said Naruto, which made all the people think. The boy is right. If we want to survive this threat, we must fight and not wait to be rescued. Thanks, boy, you have opened our eyes, said another man, and then many of the survivors looked at each other and nodded in agreement. For our children, said Eric. For our families, said another man. For a better future, said a woman. For humanity, said Mikoto, to which many shouted in unison. For humanity, shouted all the survivors, raising their fists. Naruto, seeing this, smiled, as did Soichiro, Naruto's group, Saya's mother, and the Bijus inside Naruto. Thank you, Naruto, said Soichiro when Naruto was at his side with his back to the crowd. Why? Naruto asked. For giving back hope and spirit to everyone. That's something that not even I could do. You certainly have the makings of a leader, said Soichiro with a half smile. None of that. I simply seek the good of all before mine. Now if you excuse me I will go do my job, said Naruto, and then began to walk towards the main door. Right in the middle of the way he created 3 clones which dispersed to each of the 4 sides of the mansion. Help me a little. I don't know any Doton Jutsu. Do you think you could send me one that would help me fortify and make these walls bigger? Naruto asked his inner friend. Of course, Naruto. Although I think it would also be good if you fortified them later with a little obsidian or metal, said Sun, and then sent him the hand seals of the jutsu that Naruto asked him for. I'll see about that later. After all, I still have to train my eyes and the other elements. I think I'll need at least 1,000 clones so it doesn't take so long, said Naruto as his clones finished positioning themselves. But if you do that you will be exhausted and you won't help anyone, said Matatabi seriously. Matatabi is right. Remember that saying, slow but sure. It is better to take time to learn something well than to learn it quickly and badly, said Kurama, to which Naruto sighed. I think you're right. Thanks guys, said Naruto, smiling sideways. Naruto, your clones are already in position, said Isabu, to which Naruto nodded. Okay, here we go, Naruto said to himself before he and the clones began to make a sequence of hand seals. Once they finished, they placed their hands on the ground. Doton Dorihiki Earth-style earth wall, Naruto exclaimed, and everyone looked down in surprise as 4 walls of rocks rose up, growing and growing bigger and bigger. The walls reached a height of 20 meters before stopping. Just as they stopped, Naruto's clones disappeared. When the clones disappeared, Naruto stood in front of the wall right where the gate used to be. Chomei, said Naruto, and Chomei understood those words and sent a jutsu to Naruto's mind and how to use it. Thanks, friend, said Naruto, and then drew hand seals. Futon Kaze no Ken wind-style wind sword, exclaimed Naruto, only for his hand to be wrapped in a white aura. In doing so, Naruto cut the wall exactly the size and place where the gate was. When he finished cutting it, the white aura disappeared, and then he focused chakra in his fist, and then with a blow he destroyed the fragment of the wall that he cut into pure rocks. Well, with that I finished, said Naruto, falling on one knee, since those jutsus consumed a lot of chakra since he had not trained them yet. Soichiro, his wife, and Naruto's group ran towards him when they saw him fall to one knee. Naruto-kun, are you okay? Mikoto asked, she and Konan being the first to arrive with Naruto. Yes, alone, that cost me a lot of chakra, said Naruto, a little agitated and sweating slightly. You've never used those jutsus before, right? Konan asked, to which Naruto shook his head. No, but that's why we must train, so we can perform more jutsus without getting tired and thus help these people, said Naruto. I see that your skills require a lot of effort on your part, said Soichiro upon arriving with Naruto and the 2 girls. A little. The truth is, this is the first time I've used those techniques, so since I'm not used to it, it requires a lot of my energy. However, the more I train it, the less it will cost me, said Naruto, standing up. So you need to train to be at 100%, right? Asked Yuriko, who was Saya's mother. The 3 of us need to do it to be at 100%, said Konan, to which both parents nodded. Well, with what you did, I guess we'll be safe for a while, so take the time you need to train, said Soichiro, to which the 3 nodded. Thanks, but do you happen to have food? Honestly, either Sika-kan nor I have had lunch, Naruto said, only for his and Siko's stomachs to growl, which caused an anime-style drop in everyone. Of course, Saya, Soichiro called his daughter. Yes? Saya asked. Take them to eat, please, said Soichiro, to which Saya nodded, and so the group left with Naruto and Siko while they asked the first one about his abilities and things like that. This while they were watched by Saya's parents, who stayed in front of the gate. What do you think, dear? Yuriko asked her husband. Nothing, dear. I was just thinking about what a good leader and how good that boy is. Without a doubt he will go far in the future, even in the situation we are in, said Soichiro, only for his wife to take his arm and rest her head on his shoulder. So you're thinking what I think you're thinking? Yuriko asked her husband. I didn't just think about it, it's certain, he will be my second in command. After all, you and I are one, and we are both in charge of protecting these people, said Soichiro, to which his wife smiled. I think it's a good decision. Besides, I never thought it possible that someone could do this. However, I saw him do it, said Yuriko, looking at the walls that surrounded her house. However, something tells me he won't be staying within these walls for long, Soichiro said. I know what you mean. I could tell he's not one of those who stay in a safe place to wait. He's one of those who prefer to take risks to save others, said Yuriko. That's right. But I don't think we can keep many people here. We're running out of resources, and every time we send a group to get supplies, only half of them come back, said Soichiro. Don't worry, we'll solve it. However, now we have other pending issues. Because we must organize new groups since many of the survivors wanted to help. And all thanks to the boy's words, said Yuriko, to which her husband nodded. You're right. Let's go, said Soichiro, and so they began to walk aimlessly. Later that same day, Naruto got up after resting a little, because the truth is the jutsus he had done exhausted him quite a bit, but he had already recovered mostly. Just when he got up, someone came through the door. I see you're already rested, said Soichiro, entering. Yes, sir, I feel fine now. Tell me, how can I help you? Naruto asked politely. I'll get straight to the point, Naruto. I want you to be my second in command, and just like that he said it, leaving Naruto somewhat surprised. But I mean, I'm honored that you asked me, but can I ask why? Naruto said, and asked only to see Soichiro walk towards the window. It's simple, Naruto. You achieved what I haven't been able to in all this time. You gave back the hope and fighting spirit to these people. I could also see a great determination and at the same time the desire to protect everyone, said Soichiro, to which Naruto just nodded. I see, in that case it will be a pleasure to accept that position, Tsukairosan, said Naruto, bowing slightly, looking more like a nod. Even if you didn't believe me, you just had to see it for yourself, said Soichiro, making a sign with his head for Naruto to look out, which he did, and when he did he could see the survivors practicing with the use of weapons, both white and fire, although with the latter they used compressed air to save ammunition. It's a pleasure that you are my second in command, said Soichiro, extending his hand to Naruto. It's all my pleasure, sir, said Naruto, reciprocating the gesture, and so both shook hands. Then both left the room and headed to the mansion's living room, where Mikoto, Konan, Takashi, Yuriko, and Rika were looking at a map. So according to those who arrived, they left some supplies in this area since they couldn't carry much, said Yuriko, showing a place on the map. We could send a group to get those supplies, plus we need them no matter what, said Takashi. Did I miss something? Asked Naruto, arriving at the living room following Soichiro. Naruto-kun, I'm glad you're okay, said Konan and Mikoto with a smile. I see you're rested now, said Takashi, to which Naruto just nodded. Well, while you were resting several survivors arrived. I guess when they saw the giant walls they assumed it was a good shelter, said Rika this time. So far 20 more survivors have managed to arrive, however. With the arrival of more people, supplies are decreasing, said Yuriko seriously. But fortunately some survivors informed us about some supplies they left in this area, said Konan, pointing to the place that Yuriko had pointed out before. I see, and I suppose you are organizing a group to recover those supplies, right? Said Naruto, to which everyone nodded. That's right, for the moment we plan to go to Takashi, Ryu, Hirano, Konan, Iori, and I, said Mikoto, to which Naruto nodded. Well, a good group. Hirano, if he carries a firearm, can cover them from the fences. Mikoto can, and Kananshin can cover them from afar with the skills we have, so while they cover Takashi, Iori and Ryu can take out the supplies and bring them safely. Being a small group, it will be easy for them to move between the buildings, said Naruto in a serious and analytical way. However, I will send a clone with you. I know a little few in jutsu, so we can seal in a scroll several things or supplies that we cannot carry or find on the way back, said Naruto, surprising everyone with such a plan and organization. I was certainly not wrong in making you my second in command, Soichiro said with a half smile. Wait, what? Said Takashi, surprised. Second in command? Mikoto asked. That's right. A while ago I told Naruto that I wanted him to be my second in command, and he accepted. After all, he returned the spirit and hope to everyone in the camp, and now, as we saw, he is a great strategist, said Soichiro, to which everyone realized how right he was. I'm glad you accepted, Naruto-san. After all, my husband hasn't been able to handle all the work alone, said Yuriko. But that's why I have you too, dear, said Soichiro, to which his wife just smiled. Well, back to the topic. We'll take this route to get there. It will be faster and safer, said Takashi, making his way through some alleys. It's a good plan, but a little risky. After all, there are mutant zombies that can jump very high, and their tongues can become as long as climbing ropes, said Naruto. So what do you suggest? Asked Rika, who had remained silent until now. We can go this way and then take a detour through here. However, in case we find those things, it would be better to go inside the houses. Also, that way we could check if there are more supplies, said Naruto, mainly tracing a path along the main street and deviating through some alleys. then the second option pointed in a straight line a few houses and then traced another path along the street. The first option is safer, but the second option could ensure us more supplies, said Mikoto thoughtfully. I think we should take the second option. After all, we won't know how many more survivors will arrive since surely several saw the walls rise, said Soichiro. Sir Kairosen is right, then let's take the second option, said Rika. Okay, then get ready, see you in 30 minutes at the main entrance. I'll tell the others, said Mikoto, to which everyone nodded, and so they left to get ready. Then Naruto created a clone and ordered him to help Mikoto, to which he nodded and left following the aforementioned. 2 hours later. Naruto was on the walls checking the perimeter from afar. He saw how several hordes of zombies walked through the streets, and some survivors were hiding in some houses. After all, it was already getting dark, although what mattered most to him at this moment was the well-being of the group that went to collect the supplies. However, his attention was caught when he saw a truck driving at high speed towards the entrance gate, and seemed not to want to stop. He continued watching only to see how the road crashed into a barricade that was 2 blocks from where he was. This barricade was actually a semi-surveillance post to prevent or eliminate any zombie who wanted to reach the mansion. This barricade was guarded by 2 men who had firearms. With the guards. Hey, are you okay? One of the guards asked, only to see 3 men and 3 women get off the bus. Help, please, help us, one of the men ran straight to the guards. Calm down, sir. First you must. He didn't finish speaking because he saw how several zombies began to arrive. Quick, run towards the entrance, said the second guard, pointing towards the mansion. Come on, run, said a boy who was on the bus, and so the 3 men and 3 women ran, leaving the 2 guards shooting at the zombies. With Naruto. Naruto kept watching the interaction of the survivors with the guards. However, he had a frown and gritted his teeth when he saw the guy who spoke to the guard. However, then he saw the zombies and saw how there were dozens of them and that the guards could not. Naruto, you should calm down. I don't know why you're like this. But the important thing now is to go help the guards and for those survivors to arrive, said Sun, sensing annoyance in Naruto. Sun is right, Naruto-kun. First save those people, and then if you can tell us why you are like this, we would appreciate it a lot, said Koko. Okay, said Naruto, then jumped and ran in the direction of the guards. That man who spoke to the guard is Shido. That man abandoned to his fate a boy from the group we came with. The boy had fallen to the ground with a sprained ankle and Shido was right next to him. However, instead of helping him, he kicked him in the face and left him to his fate. But I was able to save the boy, and when we both got on the bus he tried to become the leader of the group. However, I could notice what he was plotting. He wanted to become the leader of the group to take advantage of the girls and would also sacrifice whoever was necessary to save himself, said Naruto as he ran towards the guards. Hearing what Naruto said about the man, they were also upset, more specifically Sun and Koko, who were the only ones awake at that time. Now I understand your reasons for being like this. He is definitely a scum of a being, said Sun. Naruto-kan, you are already close to the guards. Concentrate, said Koko, to which Naruto mentally nodded, seeing that he was already only a few meters from the guards. Naruto ran past the survivors who didn't even pay attention to Naruto, although he didn't pay much attention to them either. Shoot and move back, said one of the guards while shooting at the head with a shotgun. That's what I do. But there are many of them. We won't be able to handle them, said the other guard, firing a short pistol. Retreat. I'll take care of them, said Naruto, to which the guards just nodded and started running. Okay, Sun, I need your help, said Naruto, to which Sun understood what Naruto wanted. Okay, Naruto, I'll send you a jutsu that will help you. It's basic. But if you concentrate a lot of chakra, it will be enough to finish off those things, said Sun, and then sent the jutsu to Naruto. Oh, I see. Thanks, friend, said Naruto, receiving the jutsu, then began to make hand seals, and when finished he inhaled a large amount of air. Latent Gokaku no Jutsu, fire style, great fireball, exclaimed Naruto, and concentrating enough chakra he launched a huge ball of fire from his mouth that advanced, incinerating several zombies. The fireball continued its trajectory for 30 meters more until it hit a car which exploded when it received the attack. This caused the fireball to also explode and spread. The fire on the ground which caused the zombies that were passing by to start burning. Okay, it's free now, said Naruto, seeing that there were no zombies left, and if there were it was one or another that was already burning. Now let's go back. I must prevent that idiot from doing something stupid, said Naruto to himself, but before turning around he saw Mikoto's group return. So together they began to return to the mansion. A mention. The group of survivors had arrived with the guards. However, Shido and the students panicked, scaring many women and children. However, after a few moments Shido controlled himself and adjusted his jacket. Just at that moment Soichiro and Yuriko came out of the mansion along with 2 more men and headed towards the newly arrived group of survivors. I welcome you to this refugee camp. Please calm down. You are safe now, said Soichiro, looking at the upset students. Oh, are you the leader of this place? Asked Shido. That's right, my name is Shido Takaya, and this is my wife Yuriko Takaya. Soichiro introduced himself. Nice to meet you, my name is Koishiro Shido. I am a respected teacher from the high school that is on the other side of the river. I am also the one who kept these 5 people who came with me safe, said Shido calmly. I see, you did a good job, Shido-san, said Soichiro. You know, a good leader should have a second in command, someone who can protect and bring survivors to safety. Someone who can make good decisions and is intelligent, said Shido with a knowing smile that went unnoticed, or so he thought. You're absolutely right, said Soichiro, but he couldn't continue speaking as he saw the group that had gone for the supplies arrive with Naruto in front of them. What are you doing here? Shido asked, somewhat annoyed. Nothing that concerns you, said Naruto coldly. Do they know each other? Asked Soichiro. I wish not, said Naruto, which intrigued Soichiro. However, Naruto spoke against Kairosen. The mission of Mikoto-kan and Kananchan's group was a complete success, and according to my clone's memories, they managed to find supplies in 4 houses that they searched, said Naruto, to which Soichiro smiled. I'm glad to hear that. Now you can rest. You deserve it, said Soichiro, to which the group nodded and went to leave the recovered provisions in a warehouse, and then they went to rest. So Kairosen, what do you think of my idea? Asked Shido, ignoring Naruto. It's a great idea indeed, said Soichiro, to which Shido smiled. You know, I would be honored that I didn't finish speaking when Soichiro continued speaking. That's why a few hours ago I named Naruto-san as my second in command, said Soichiro, which left Shido surprised and with his mouth open since he couldn't finish speaking. But he's just a kid. How can he appoint a kid as his second in command? Asked Shido, confused and annoyed with Naruto. Well, Mr. Shido, this boy not only raised these 4 enormous walls that protect us, but he also brought a group of more than 15 people to safety, among which was my daughter. In addition to that, he was the one who planned a strategy for the mission that the group that arrived carried out, which was to recover some supplies that were a few blocks from here. His plan was so brilliant that not only did the group collect the supplies that were in the place they were going to, but they also obtained additional supplies when returning here, said Soichiro, to which Naruto smiled proudly. Naruto-san, would you be so kind as to show the newcomers around? Yuriko asked, to which Naruto nodded. It will be a pleasure, Yuriko-san, said Naruto, and then the pair of leaders left. Okay, follow me and don't try anything, and I mean you, Koishiro Shido, said Naruto seriously. Are you threatening us, damn it? Asked one of the students who accompanied Shido. I see you're still a guard dog, right? Said Naruto when he saw the boy whom he recognized as the boy who tried to hit him on the bus. Damn, now you'll see, said the same student who was going to launch himself against Naruto along with the other student. However, they were stopped when they heard several weapons being loaded. Upon hearing the sound, they looked around only to see several people pointing weapons at them. Naruto only made a signal with his hand for the people to calm down and lower their weapons, which they did. I see you're not very smart. After all, a newly arrived survivor trying to attack the second in command of this place isn't a very good idea, said Naruto, and then looked at the girls. However, I see you did something right for a change. Although I doubt your intentions were correct, said Naruto to Shido, although looking at one of the three women. Tell me, miss, how many did this guy sacrifice to get here? Asked Naruto, looking at the woman who looked fearfully at Shido and the two students. This at the same time the other two girls were hiding behind the woman that Naruto asked her. Noticing the fear and doubt in the woman, Naruto spoke again. Please, tell me honestly. And don't worry, he won't be able to hurt you. After all, there are many watching and armed. I doubt he'll risk doing something knowing he could get hurt, said Naruto to the woman. Boo. Well, actually, said the woman nervously, but her look went from scared to confident, and at the same time with tears in her eyes. He sacrificed 6 people, among which was my fiancé. Then he and his students abused me and my sisters. The only way they protected us until now was because they said they needed women to ensure the survival of humanity, said the woman, bursting into tears, only for the girls behind her to hug her. Apparently those girls were her sisters, and they also cried, remembering everything that was done to them. Naruto, upon hearing what the woman said, became enraged. Even his tenants did so. Naruto lowered his gaze, causing it to darken. He also clenched his fists in fury. Upon noticing this, the armed people pointed at Koishiro again, since they were also upset, furious at what they heard. I was wrong about you, Shido. Now I know that you are worse than trash. If I called you scum, it would be a compliment for you, said Naruto with a darkened look, and making a sign for them to lower their weapons. You are, said Shido, and then ran towards Naruto to hit him. But Naruto quickly knocked him down and twisted his arm, putting it on his back and putting pressure upwards. I know the perfect place for you and your students, a place where you won't harm anyone here, said Naruto, and then stood up next to Shido, but still keeping hold. Yoshima, come with me, and watch the 2 boys, said Naruto, to which 2 men present nodded and walked until they stood behind the 2 boys and pointed their weapons at them, and then Naruto began to walk. Girls, come too. After leaving these guys, I will show you where you will stay, said Naruto, to which the girls nodded, still in tears, but still followed Naruto. Come on, walk, said Yajima, only for him and Yoshida to push Shido's students with the gun, who started walking. They walked for a couple of minutes until they reached an old shed which was surrounded by a fence of pure barbed wire. But this wire was not like normal wires. This one was different because it seemed to be made of pure barbs, since there was not a centimeter that did not have barbs. Mr. Soichiro told me a few hours ago that this place is where they locked up criminals or bandits who entered their domains to steal, and he left them here until the police came for them. He told me that now it would be used to lock up survivors who were deranged or were potentially or mentally dangerous. And that is where you and your students will go, said Naruto, as they got closer and closer to the place. When they arrived, Naruto opened the door of the place and put the 3 men in. Then he closed the door and put a chain and a padlock that were near there. Apparently they were the chains and the padlock they used on that door, and since I know that this padlock probably won't give you any, said Naruto, and then made a small sequence of manual seals before placing it on the ground, and a rock wall emerged right where the door was, thus blocking it. These were enough. After all, this wall won't fall until I want it to, said Naruto, and then saw the surprised faces of Shido and his students. See you. Enjoy your stay. By the way, lunch is served here at 8:30 a.m., so if I were you, I would make sure to be awake at that time, or else you won't eat. And don't try to dig, as it will be useless since the ground is solid, hardened sandstone, so even trying to escape by digging would take at least a full day to get out. But we would figure that out, said Naruto before leaving, followed by the 2 men with weapons and the 3 girls. Well, Naruto-san, we'll go on patrol, said Yajima, to which Naruto nodded. Okay, take care, and if you see anything let me know. I'll take these ladies to where they're staying, said Naruto, to which the 2 men nodded before leaving. Now girls, please follow me, said Naruto, to which some slightly blushed women nodded and began to follow Naruto until they reached the tents where the survivors were camping. They advanced through the tents until they reached a somewhat large one. Well, here the 3 of you will stay. As you see, it's enough space for the 3 of you, although I also apologize for the space since it's not much for you to put any furniture or anything like that, but it's enough for the 3 of you to sleep peacefully, and leave your belongings if you have any, said Naruto, to which the three women nodded. Thank you very much, and don't worry, we'll get used to the space. After all, it's better than nothing, said one of the sisters. I appreciate what you did for us with those three men. It was difficult being with them, but we endured because they kept us safe, even if it was only for that, said the woman, almost crying. Don't worry, you don't have to be thankful, after all they deserved it, but be sure that they won't hurt you anymore. I promise you that, said Naruto, to which the three girls smiled slightly at the words. Thank you, said the three. You're welcome. Well, I'm leaving. I have to go check the supplies and give a report to Mr. Soichiro about how many supplies were gathered. If you need anything, just look for me or call me with one of those who bring weapons, said Naruto, and then began to leave while waving his hand in farewell, which was reciprocated by the girls. Once Naruto left the girls' side. Sister, I think I just fell in love, said one of the sisters. Hey, no, Mia, I saw it first, said the other sister. It's not true, Fanny, I saw it first, said the girl known as Mia. It's not true, the girl known as Fanny attacked. Girls, calm down, you are not little girls anymore to act like that, said the older sister, to which the two girls just lowered their heads as if they had been scolded. Besides, if it's about this, I saw it first. After all, I was further in front than you, said the woman, which annoyed her sisters. Asuka-sama, that's not fair, the two girls said to their sister, which caused a laugh in the now known Asuka. But it didn't take long for the two girls to also start laughing lightly. Come on, girls, let's rest for tomorrow. After all, we started a better life than with those guys, said Asuka, to which her sisters nodded, and the three of them entered the store to rest. Chapter 5: A Very Long Night. In New York City it was already 8 a.m. Leon had left the police station where the refugees were. He left at about 7:30, and since he left he was looking for a bus to transport all the people who were in the police station. He had walked 5 blocks and decided to search in a perimeter of 5 blocks around the police station. He had managed to find 3 buses. But unfortunately 2 of them were totally destroyed while another was literally full of zombies. It looked like a bus at rush hour. Leon decided to look for another bus because he did not want to risk the bus that was full of zombies. However, if he did not find another, that would be his last option. He walked silently through the streets, avoiding making as little noise as possible. He still had his gun in its holster placed on his waist on the right side. Leon walked 1 more block, passing through a fairly large alley. Wait a moment, thought Leon, returning to the entrance of the alley only to see that in it there was a delivery truck. It was big, and from the outside it looked like it was perfect to transport all the people. I just hope it works, he said to himself before heading towards the truck, and when he arrived he opened the driver's door. When he opened it he saw that there was a door that connected the cabin with the rear of the truck. It's perfect. It's also wider than I imagined, he said to himself, only to then go check the rear because he didn't want to take risks. Once he verified that everything was free, he returned to the front and crossed the cables to turn on the truck. Perfect, it works, thought Leon with a smile. Instantly he began to drive towards the police station, which was 3 blocks away. Leon took a radio that Carol had given him to stay in touch. Carol, this is Leon. I found a truck and now I'm taking it there, said Leon. Okay, Leon, we'll wait for you, said Carol. Okay, better get ready because we'll have to do it quickly. Because I'm sure the noise of the engine will attract several of those things, Leon said, and then started driving the truck. We will be alert and waiting with weapons, said Carol, and then Leon left the radio in a cup holder and continued his way to the police station. And just as he thought, the noise of the engine began to attract several zombies which came in all directions, some from in front, from the sides, and there were even some that were running behind the truck. The only good or bad thing, depending on how you look at it, was that those who came from in front ended up being run over. Leon was about to reach the police station, so he took the radio again. Carol, I'm arriving, but I'm bringing a lot of zombies, said Leon. I see you, and don't worry, we'll open fire while the survivors get on, said Carol, watching as the truck Leon was driving was followed by more than 20 zombies. I'll try to park it quickly, so get the people out at once, said Leon, to which Carol said nothing as she went to tell the people to start leaving. The first to come out were the armed men who started to open fire against the zombies that were chasing the truck. From the balcony there were also some men who started shooting. Here we go. I hope it goes well, thought Leon. As they were close, he skidded the truck to turn around. It was difficult, but he managed to do it, and immediately began to reverse. When he arrived, he reversed to park. He quickly stopped the road and went to the back to open the doors. When he opened them, people began to get in, while the zombies fell. But at the same time more arrived. It wasn't long before the survivors finished boarding. Now only those with weapons were left. Get in. I'll cover it, said Steve, to which some nodded and started to get in. Lend me the gun. I'll help cover them so they can get on, Leon said to one of those who were shooting, who nodded and gave a machine gun to Leon, who started shooting at the zombies with it. So the men who were armed got on the truck. Finally, Carol was left, who got on after no one was left to get on. Everyone's on board. It's time to go, said Carol, to which Steve and Leon nodded and advanced towards the front of the truck, still shooting. When they arrived, they both got into the truck, Leon in the driver's seat and Steve in the passenger seat. Leon instantly started the truck and floored it, starting strongly. The truck didn't take long to gain power and began to advance, running over zombies. However, when they saw that now there were too many right turns and began to drive down that street, the armed men didn't just stand by and watch, because they opened the rear doors and began to shoot at the zombies that followed them. After 10 minutes of driving and shooting, they finally managed to get rid of the zombies, and in doing so they closed the rear doors of the truck, and now they were on a highway. Now that we've lost them, where will we go? Carol asked, standing in the doorway that connected the cabin to the back. We'll go to North Carolina. That's where my superiors are. Also, before coming, I heard that they had found several safe zones around the world and that there was one in Japan that was the safest of all, said Leon while driving. So, will they take us to one of these safe zones? Steve asked, to which Leon nodded. It is most likely, however, we have not yet been able to contact them in the area of Japan. We only know about that area from some satellites that managed to capture it, said Leon. They practically want to contact that area to send refugees there since it is the safest so far, said Carol, to which Leon shrugged his shoulders. I don't know, but it's most likely. They didn't tell me everything. I only know that they discovered a safe zone in Japan and that this is the safest of all, said Leon. Okay, by the way, how long will the trip take? Steve asked. More or less 9 hours, that without unforeseen events, although I can't give an exact estimate if there are unforeseen events like blockages due to burning cars or things like that, said Leon, to which they nodded. At least we won't be stuck in the city anymore, Steve said. At least, agreed Carol. The group continued advancing through the streets of the city, and after about 30 minutes they managed to leave it, since it took a while since there were several streets blocked by cars. When they left the city they took the road to North Carolina. Their journey was somewhat calm. Meanwhile in Savannah, Georgia, 4 people were at the top of a hotel. They had arrived there hoping to be rescued, because a few days ago the whole world as they knew it had changed completely. But they had hope, because some helicopters began to circle the city. Each one had decided to go to a high place, so they managed to find themselves at the hotel they were in now. They went up to the roof hoping to be rescued, but not a single one of the helicopters rescued them. I guess we'll have to go out on our own, said a woman. So it seems, said a man. By the way, my name is Ellis, said a young man dressed in rustic style. I'm Nick, said a man now dressed in a white formal suit. I am Coach, said a dark-skinned man dressed like a coach. My name is Rochelle, said the woman, also with dark skin. A pleasure to meet you all, said Ellis, to which the others just made a gesture as if to say likewise. Well, if we don't move we'll never get out of here, said Nick, and then took a gun they had found on the road which was about 45 millimeters. I agree, we should go, said Coach, who was carrying a fire axe. So what are we waiting for? Said Rochelle, who was carrying a Magnum revolver. Okay, I'll go first, said Ellis, who was carrying a Beta and a 9mm. Ellis opened the door to the roof and started to go down the stairs. A shame that the hotel they were in was almost 20 floors, so they would have a long way to go. The group went down to the 20th floor and opened their only path, which was a door on their left. When they opened it, they could all see a zombie about 4 meters away from them. Who was the genius who designed this hotel? Putting the emergency stairs in between is stupid, at least on the top floors. What happens if the hotel catches fire? Coach whispered. I think the same, but now there is no other option but to try to get out by force, said Nick, only to shoot the zombie in the head and he would fall dead. Now come on, let's continue, said Nick, and then started walking. However, to his right he noticed that the door of a room was open and inside it there were a dozen zombies. Shit, said Coach when the whole group saw the zombies. Run, said Rochelle as the whole group started to run, as did the zombies. However, as they ran, zombies came out of the other rooms that were open. The 4 survivors only killed those in front of them and prevented them from continuing their path. When they saw that they couldn't get out of a room, they quickly ran towards it. They entered the room. Towards the window. If we stand on the edge, we'll avoid them, said Ellis, which caused them to look at him like crazy. But they did it anyway. They opened the window and carefully stood on an overhang of about 60 centimeters. When the 4 were on the edge and outside the hotel, the zombies simply destroyed what was left of the window, and without any care they began to fall through the window. The 4 just watched as the zombies fell and fell. It only took a couple of minutes when the zombies stopped falling. Coach, being one of those who were on the edge next to the window, looked up and saw that there were no more zombies. All clear, said Coach, only to enter the room again. When the 4 entered, they quickly went to the stairs. When they arrived, they went down again to the next floor, which apparently was clear, so it went to the 15th floor, where finally the direct stairs to the first floor began. But unfortunately the stairs were on fire. Great, and now how will we escape? Said Nick with some frustration. I have an idea. Follow me, said Rochelle, and so they turned around to then run to the other end of the hotel. However, they didn't reach the stairs but rather entered another room. What are we doing here? Coach asked. We'll use the fire escape, Rochelle said, pointing to the window where there was a ladder. Why didn't we use it from the beginning? Nick asked. It didn't occur to us, Coach said, downplaying the issue. Let's go, said Ellis, then opened the window and started to go down the stairs. However, because of the 10th floor, the stairs were blocked with furniture remains, so they had to go back in. This seems like a ING game. First the emergency stairs and then these. We couldn't be worse, said Nick. Come on, at least we're halfway there, said Rochelle. Come on, let's get out of here instead of arguing, said Coach, to which everyone agreed. When leaving the room, they saw that there was smoke and a lot of. Apparently this floor is on fire, said Ellis, pointing out the obvious. You don't meditate, what makes you think that? Asked Nick. Hey, calm down, it's not time to fight, said Coach. I'm sorry, this situation is stressing me out, said Nick after letting out a sigh. Okay, let's go, stay a little low so you don't breathe the smoke, said Rochelle, and so the group began to continue on their way. They walked until they passed by a kind of bar, which apparently was the source of the fire. But what a waste of liquor! I would have liked to at least drink a couple of those bottles, said Nick, seeing how where the liquor bottles were supposed to go was on fire. In this situation even I would have wanted it, said Rochelle, looking around the place. Hey guys, up ahead, said Ellis, pointing to a zombie that was too fat. You? Just in case someone missed the donuts, Coach said in a mocking tone. Let's go out quietly, said Rochelle, to which the 3 nodded and began to walk quietly. However, they saw how the zombie vomited. Ugh, that's disgusting, said Ellis. However, no one could say anything else because several zombies started running towards where the fat zombie had vomited, and instantly they launched themselves against the group of 4. Finish them off, said Rochelle, starting to shoot with her magnum, but this caused the fat man to attack them too and start vomiting in their direction. The four managed to move to the side, avoiding the zombies' vomit, since it seemed that this vomit attracted more zombies. I'm out of ammo, said Nick, changing the cartridge in his gun. I still have 3 magazines left, but they are not the same caliber as yours, said Ellis, shooting the zombies in the head. That's why bladed weapons are better in these cases, said Coach, who started walking towards the zombies and started cutting them with the axe he was carrying. Let's take care of the eater. If he keeps vomiting, he'll attract more, said Rochelle, and so the 3 who had weapons began to shoot the fat zombie in the head, but to their surprise it took them almost 20 bullets to kill him. But something peculiar is that when he died, he swelled up and then exploded, which seemed to be beneficial for them, since when it appeared the zombie exploded, it released an acid that hit all the zombies in the room and melted them. The 4 came out unharmed since the zombies acted as their shields, and thanks to the fact that they were crouching. That solves the problem of this room, said Coach, and then saw how Ellis took a jar that had managed to survive and with the help of a rag began to put the zombies' vomit into the jar. When it was full, he sealed it and took it in his right hand. That was disgusting. What do you want that for? Nick asked, intrigued. It could be useful to us later. After all, this thing attracts zombies, said Ellis, to which the 3 found sense in that. So the group continued on their way. They went down from floor to floor, where every time they encountered more zombies they killed them by shooting them, and this caused more to arrive. When they ran out of bullets they resorted to white arrows. Nick Heroa also brought an axe, while Rochelle had managed to find a shotgun, but only had 30 bullets. Luckily for them, when they reached the 5th floor the stairs were free and without zombies. They reached the ground floor, and when they went through the door of the stairs they noticed that in the hallway there were several zombies too. Again hell broke loose, although this time it was easier for them, because Rochelle with the shotgun killed several with a shot. When they finally managed to get out of the hotel they quickly ran in search of a car. They managed to find a 4-door truck, and without hesitation they got in and then started driving. Good thing we escaped, said Coach. Yes, that was truly hell, Rochelle said, somewhat stunned. Where do we go now? Ellis asked. First of all, we need weapons to survive, and I know a place where we can get them, but it's a bit far, especially with the street blocks, said Nick, who was driving. Well, let's go then, Rochelle said, only for Nick to take the path to the place he knew about. If it gets dark, it would be best to stop and rest, and I also think it's better to look for some food on the way, said Kocha, to which the 3 nodded in agreement. In Japan 2 days later. This is Team 1, we arrived at the target location, said the voice of a boy, none other than Takashi, who was followed by Ryu, a Naruto clone, and 2 more men. It is worth mentioning that all 4 were armed. Naruto, for his part, carried a katana that he had created himself a day ago. Here Team 2 arriving at our objective too, said the voice of Hirano, who was also followed by 2 men, Iori, a clone of Naruto, and Tatsumi. These were also armed, and Naruto also carried a katana. This is Alpha Team, we will enter first, said Naruto's voice, which was followed by Shin, 2 more men. Understood, we will cover while waiting for the signal, said Takashi, making a waiting signal to those in his group. The same thing happened with Hirano. Okay, let's go in and be alert to any movement, no matter how small, said Naruto, to which everyone nodded. Naruto-san, do you really think there are supplies of food and weapons in this place? Asked Shin. I don't know, but right now we can't afford to be suspicious, said Naruto as he opened a door only to see an empty room. Then they went to the other rooms on the 1st floor, checking them, Naruto in front, followed by Shin and then the 2 men who covered their backs. Alpha Team here, you may proceed, said Naruto through a radio only for Takashi and Hirano's teams to enter. What's the plan? Takashi asked as he met up with Team Alpha and Team 2. Team 1 will check the 2nd floor, Team 2 the 3rd floor, we will check the 4th floor, the supplies should be on one of these floors. Notify by radio if there are problems, said Naruto, to which everyone nodded and went towards the stairs that led to the upper floors. They checked the 3 teams room by room. They checked every corner. Alpha team here. We can't find anything, said Naruto, making a sign to start returning. Team 2 here. We didn't find anything either, said Hirano, doing the same as Naruto. Team 1 here. We have something, said Takashi, who was standing in front of a closed closet, but from one of its doors a strip of bullets was sticking out. Specify, said Naruto, as teams Alpha and 2 headed to Team 1's position. We don't know, we only see a strip of bullets, apparently caliber 50. However, we hear noises like someone is inside, said Takashi. Just shoot, said Hirano. No, Naruto exclaimed, it could be a survivor. In this situation we shouldn't assume things. It's risky, but we must verify and be sure if it's a survivor or a zombie, said Naruto, arriving at the 2nd floor. What do we do then? Asked Takashi. Use my clone to verify, so you don't risk anyone, said Naruto, walking towards the room. Hearing what the original said, the clone nodded and walked towards the closet. When he opened the door, the first thing he saw was a boy who was trembling with fear. Next to him there was also a girl who was also trembling with fear. What did you find? Asked the original, arriving at the room, followed by his team and then Hirano's team. Look for yourself, said Takashi, just so everyone moved aside to let Naruto see what they found. Naruto was surprised when he saw the 2 children, but then gave a warm smile. Hello, my name is Naruto, what are your names? Naruto asked, slowly approaching the boys who didn't answer. Don't worry, you don't have to be afraid of us, we won't hurt you, on the contrary, we will take you to a safe place, said Naruto, instilling a little confidence in the children. Are you serious? Asked the Nino, to which Naruto nodded. That's right, but tell me, what are you doing here alone? Naruto asked, to which the boy seemed to get sad. Our uncle told us to wait here, but that was a day ago, and he didn't come back, said the boy a little sadly. I see, well, now come with us, we will take you to a safe place and then we will look for your uncle, said Naruto, to which the children nodded and left the closet. Now, go with those boys, they will check them to verify that they are okay, said Naruto, pointing to Takashi and Ryu. The children just nodded and went to with the 2 mentioned. Come on kids, first we'll check you guys to make sure you're not hurt, said Ryu in a way that inspired confidence in the kids, who just nodded and went with the 2 boys. Okay, now I'll seal this and we'll go, said Naruto, then took out a scroll and spread it out to then seal all the supplies in it. Once he finished sealing them, he stood up and everyone headed to the exit. When they left the room, they saw that the 2 boys were already outside with the 2 children. They are clean. No wounds, said Takashi, at which Naruto nodded. Okay, then let's go back, said Naruto, to which everyone nodded, so they left the hotel and started walking towards the base. So kids, what are your names? Naruto asked, remembering that the children hadn't told him their names. I am Keita, and this is my sister Furenji, said the boy now known as Keita. Nice to meet you, tell me how old are you? Naruto asked. My sister is 10 and I'm 12, said Keita. Okay, look, they are Hirano and Ryu, this is Takashi, that other one is Iori, this is Shin and this is Tatsumi, the 6 men are Yamada, Kenny, Zack, Zen, Tom and Shiro, said Naruto, introducing those who came with him. The group continued advancing without problems until they reached the shelter. Upon arriving, they were received by the guards who let them pass. Upon entering, Takashi took the children with Shizuka to check the children better. Okay guys, you can go rest, you deserve it, said Naruto, to which everyone nodded and headed towards the garage of the mansion, since that was where they kept all the weapons, while Naruto went to a warehouse that the mansion had where the supplies were kept. When he arrived, he took out the scroll and unsealed the supplies, then he made a report of the supplies obtained and what they had in total. When he finished, he went to Soichiro's office. When he arrived, he knocked a couple of times and received a pass from inside. Oh, Naruto, they're finally back, tell me how it went? asked Soichiro as he saw Naruto walk through the door. Perfectly. We managed to find vast supplies, among them ammunition for the weapons and plenty of food. However, when doing the last registration, already including what we collected, I noticed that we are running out of drinking water, said Naruto, which caught Soichiro's attention. How much is left? Soichiro asked seriously. I estimate a week for everything to run out, but the worrying thing is the fact that they don't even give water anymore, said Naruto, which made Soichiro even more serious. This is alarming. We must find a source of drinking water again, said Soichiro, to which Naruto nodded. Any idea where there might be a water source? Naruto asked Soichiro. No, but I have a question for you, said Soichiro, to which Naruto nodded. What would it be? Naruto asked. By chance, with your abilities, could you make one out of water and create a well that contains water that you create with your power? Asked Soichiro. I don't know. I don't even know if the water from my techniques could be drinkable, Naruto answered, to which Soichiro nodded. Naruto, the truth is that I think the water from the Sueten techniques could be drinkable. I'm 80% sure of that, said Isabu. If you say so, it has to be true, because you are the one who knows more about Sueten techniques, and you also lived more in the water, said Naruto, making Isabu smile at the part where he told him that he knew more Sueten techniques, since that meant that he considered him an expert. Tell the man, so they can try, said Isabu, to which Naruto nodded. Sakairosen, I thought about it a bit, and I'm 80% sure that the water used in my techniques is drinkable, said Naruto, which gave Soichiro a little hope. Okay, we'll do a test at night, said Soichiro, to which Naruto nodded. Fine, if there's nothing else to talk about you can leave, said Soichiro, but Naruto spoke again. Another thing, from what I've felt, it started to get cold at night, and I don't think the survivors camping outside can withstand the low temperatures, and if they do they would get sick, which at the moment is not ideal, said Naruto, to which Soichiro let out a sigh. I know, I realized it too. However, we can't keep people inside the house or in the garages, because they are busy with provisions and weapons. Besides, inside the house it would just be a mess of piles, said Soichiro, running his hand through his hair, and then leaning back in his seat and looking at the ceiling. We could make a basement that could keep the survivors warm and safer, because we don't know how many or what kind of mutants there are, said Naruto, to which Soichiro nodded. Once again, you're right. But how would we make that basement? Also, what kind of basement would we make? Asked Soichiro. Well, between me and Mikotosen we could create the basement by sinking the earth with an ability of ours, and the type of basement would be more like an underground. Also, being on top of a hill it would be easier because we could make an entire base here, said Naruto, which surprised Soichiro. Are you serious? A base? Soichiro asked, somewhat surprised only to see Naruto feel. I could even try to expand the wall further, to have even more space and thus be able to build more warehouses or even crops, since the supplies of canned food are limited, said Naruto, to which Soichiro nodded in agreement. I've been thinking about that for a few days. Supplies and provisions are limited, so we must start planting our own food. However, we don't have anyone who knows about agriculture, which is why it's difficult for us. Plus, yesterday the internet went down, so we can no longer search to learn how to be farmers, said Soichiro. Then I suppose that on the next excursion we should look for a book about agriculture, said Naruto, to which Soichiro nodded. That would help a lot, Soichiro said before his wife walked through the door. Honey, the food is ready. Siko, Umi, Toka and Mikoto already distributed the food among the survivors and those who are locked in the pot. Konan, Rei and Naomi also made the food, said Yuriko, to which her husband nodded, as did Naruto. Then Yuriko left the room and went to the dining room. Well, then we've agreed on everything, and tonight we'll do that test. Now let's go eat, said Soichiro, then stood up and walked towards the door. Yes, let's go. We don't want to make the girls angry, said Naruto, to which Soichiro smiled. Life lessons: never make a woman angry. She is more dangerous than a hungry lion, said Soichiro, then opened the door and gestured for Naruto to leave, which he did not without first thanking him. Then Soichiro left too, and so they went to eat. The afternoon arrived and Soichiro accompanied Tuka, who would take the food to those who were locked in the booth. Upon arriving they saw that the three were sitting apart from each other. Your food has arrived, said Tuka, although with some disdain. Then she put the food in a kind of mini crane, because with this they could put the food in for them to take. You must get us out of here. That Naruto boy is crazy. He locked us here, and besides, that boy is not normal. He is a demon. He raised this wall that prevents us from leaving, said Shido, a little desperate. Calm down better, you know why you are there. Besides, the boy is not a demon, he only has special abilities. That you feel jealous and envy for the boy is not our business nor our problem, said Soichiro, which annoyed the teacher. Once Tokua finished putting the food and the three inside took the plates of food. When they took them, the crane began to rise again until it was outside the fence. Okay, behave yourselves and don't cause any problems. We'll bring you dinner around 9 p.m., said Soichiro, then turned around and left with Tuka. Damn him and that boy. I swear I'll get revenge, and I already know how to do it, Shido thought madly, only to start eating while he threw discreet glances at the two boys. And they will be very useful to me to go out, Shido thought with a smile. With Naruto. Naruto was in the living room of the mansion talking with Siko, Mikoto, Konan, Shizuka, Rika and Umi. It seems Naruto was telling them about how the mission was and how they found the children. The women present had a sad face when they heard that the children had been abandoned, since most likely their uncle had died, and that was why he did not return for them. Poor children, they must have been scared all this time, said Mikoto, showing sadness. Terrified without knowing what would happen to them, said Konan. They must have been hungry and cold, said Siko. But it was a miracle that they were safe and sound in that place, said Rika. However, both children were very tired, and it seemed that one of them had a slight fever, but it went down a little while ago, said Shizuka. I just hope they can be happy here. After all, this place needs the laughter of some children, said Naruto, which caused the girls present to wander in their imagination, imagining children who were theirs and a certain blonde-haired boy. This place would definitely be more lively with more children. At the camp there are only Alice and 4 other children, said Umi, remembering the times she saw the children playing with the puppy. That